Hey everybody, Savage Recovery back for another video. How are my savages doing? I know I have been dropping a lot of content today, and I just decided that it was a good time to do a live, do some interactions, and we could talk about what is wrong with men. Because clearly men in society happen to be fucking out. They just happen to be the problem in the world. If men were better, then the world would just be magical and wonderful, and it'd be full of unicorns and butterflies and pixie dust. So let's talk about the problem with men. Let's see. Oh wait, there's not a problem with men. They're perfect. Men are absolutely perfect. There's nothing wrong with us in any way. We are the we couldn't be any better. Men could not be any better of a specimen. They are the best thing that ever happened to the earth. No, that's not true. We all have our faults. But at the end of the day, I was watching, I did a video on Tomi Lahren, and Tomi Lahren was on Facebook doing a 15-minute rant about how men are trash and how men are, just one. She said that they were pussies and that they're all trash and there's not enough men. There's more males and boys, and she's trying to do a summer of canceling boys. If you guys haven't seen that video, go check it out. It's pretty funny. And that's coming from a traditional conservative woman. And the reason I'm making this video is because even though women say that they aren't feminists, they still come off the top of the dome with the same ideas. That's how much feminism has actually bled its way into all aspects of our society and all aspects of our lives, that even the traditional conservative women still have these same ideas and the same idea of a lack of responsibility or accountability for themselves. If one of the main topics, as you guys are going to come to find out when it comes to my channel, it's mainly about personal responsibility and accountability. And that can be pretty much said in every single video that I have when it comes down to pretty much anything. Me being on child support, my fault. Me having kids out of wedlock, my fault. When it comes to these feminists and them hating men, it comes down to their personal responsibility. When it comes down to anything on this channel, I'm not excluded from this. Nobody's excluded from the idea of having personal responsibility and accountability. If we can get the narrative of personal responsibility, yeah, I know that's what she said, Nate. But if we can get the idea of personal responsibility and personal accountability to everybody, then as a whole society can grow, and the problems that we have in society can actually start to change. But until we do that, we're going to keep living in the same muck that we're in, and nothing's going to change. It's just going to get worse. It's kind of like going to a doctor, all right? And you go to the doctor and you're sick, but the doctor can never tell you why you're sick. If the doctor can't diagnose what illness or disease or problem that you're having, it doesn't matter what that doctor does or any doctor does, because they can't solve the actual problem. And personal responsibility and accountability is the root of all the problems that we see in society. When it comes to police violence, when it comes to the police, when it comes to our government, when it comes to male and female relationships, when it comes to the court system, and all of these topics, it comes down to having personal responsibility and accountability being taught to people. Because if you don't do that, you're never going to change anything. The reason that I bring up Tomi Lahren is because in Tomi Lahren's video, she's talking about how she's been dealing with all the women that she knows have dealt with men, and they're all trash. And she believes that men from the ages of 20 to even 60 years old are all trash. And unfortunately, the false narrative in that, because a lot of the time when we hear these narratives, the narratives themselves are painted in a false light. So she said because of all these women from the ages of 24 to 36 that she knows have all had problems with men, that obviously it's not the woman's fault, it's men's fault. If I was to go for a whole week, all right, and every guy that I seen at a gas station pumping gas, every guy I seen at work, every guy I seen at Walmart, every guy I seen at the mall, every guy I seen at a doctor's office, every guy that I seen downtown, every guy that I seen on the bus, if I asked every single man that I ever ran across for a whole week and asked him if he had a problem with women, I guarantee you all the men are going to say that they've had problems with women. Yeah, 24 to 36 years old is a sliding scale, yeah. But the point that I'm making is if I went and asked every single man that I met for a whole week, all of them would tell me the same thing, that they've had problems with women. And that doesn't necessarily mean that women are the problem, but it is safe to say that if you end up dating women and you're a man, you're probably going to have issues with women. And if you're a woman and you date men, you probably are going to have a problem with men. If I go and ask men that date men if they have problems with men, they would probably say they've had problems with men. So this idea that all these people experience something, so that's a problem, is a false narrative. It's a false narrative, because if you're a gay man and you date men, and I ask you, who do you have problems with? And he was to tell me women, I would be surprised, because he does not date women. So for him to say that would be crazy to me. But if he told me he had a problem with men, I wouldn't be surprised in any way. So I don't understand how Tomi Lahren can do a 15-minute rant about how men are trash based on this premise that all the women she knows that dates men have had a problem with men. Like, that's just, I don't understand if she's just not aware. I just don't understand if she lacks self-awareness. I don't know. But I do seem to think that she's a tad bit bitter and she's a tad bit hurt. And I feel that someone hurt her and she's taking it out on men. Do you know why I know this and why I think this? Because Tomi Lahren was engaged to a man, and he was a famous soccer player. And not only was he a famous soccer player, but he retired from soccer and he is now running for Congress. He's running for Congress right now. So he's not your average Joe. If you were to ask most women what they were looking for in a man, him being tall, good looking, career driven, successful, hardworking, this man would fall under every single one of those criteria. And not just that, but he asked her to marry him. Well, I don't think that Tomi was a side chick for her engagement. The man asked her to marry him and gave her a $50,000 engagement ring. But as of January 27th was the last time that they posted a picture together, and the beginning of February, she had came out and said that they were no longer engaged. And she did a 15-minute rant on telling men that she was going to give them some advice, and this idea that she was a helper and a teacher and all these good things, and she was going to help all these boys become men and all these males become men, and tell men how they're the problem and how to fix it and how to get women like her. But unfortunately, lady, you were engaged to a man that fits all of the criteria that most women want, and you couldn't seal the deal. Correct. Correct. I totally agree with you. She totally was a side piece and she got hurt. And I'm going to tell you right now, I guarantee you, if I was a bet man, I would say she probably broke off the engagement. She probably broke off the engagement to her fiance, and she thought that she had a bigger fish or a better fish lined up, and she went to that and got played. And now she's upset because now the man that she was engaged to isn't going to marry her. He isn't going to want anything to do with her. And she got screwed over on the backup. So now she's just out in the wind, and she fucked up her whole ability to get married. She fucked that shit up. And now she's upset and bitter, and she's making a video. And I also I would like to tell people, anytime that I've dealt with women or anytime that I hear about women complain about men or relationships, these women always say that they're sexy, they're good women. Like, they always give themselves this idea that they're valuable. But unfortunately, do you see this couch right here? You see that? All right, so I could tell you that I want to sell that couch, and I value that couch at $1,000. If you want the love seat that goes with it, that'd be another $1,000. So for this couch set, it would be $2,000. That's its value. Unfortunately, if no one is willing to pay $2,000 for my couch set, my love seat and my couch, then it's not valued at $2,000. Value is only based on what the person values it at. So just because you say that you're valuable, or just because you think that you're valuable, doesn't actually mean that there's value, or the value that you think you have is not the case. If I put this couch up for $2,000 and nobody wants it, and everyone's offered me $200 to buy both, does that mean that the couch is worth $2,000? No, it means that it's only worth $200, because that's what people that are willing to pay for it. That's what it's perceived to be. That's the perception of value. Correct. Value is merely a perception. Just like when they say beauty is in the eye of the beholder. The person that the person that thinks they're beautiful, you're not basing your beauty on what you think. It's based on the person that's looking at you. Yeah, there's plenty of simps out here. I don't disagree with that. But unfortunately, we need to start pushing back on these false narratives. A lot of the narratives that we end up hearing about are over pushed or oversimplified to make the argument that the person's making try to stick. And once we accept these false narratives, you're already arguing or trying to correct something from a state of failure. You cannot, like, if I tell you that this bottle is red, and we're in a discussion about this bottle, and you accept that this bottle is red, even though we both know it's not, any point that you try to make in this argument, you've already lost, because you've accepted the false narrative of this bottle being red. You there's no way to get out to win this debate or win the argument or make any points that are clear, because you're already accepted a false narrative. Like, this stuff really isn't that complicated. a lot of the times when you guys see see me on Tommy Sotomayor, or you guys see me make a video, I'm pushing back on perceptions and pushing back on narratives. That's the main point of my channel, is just self accountability and improving yourself. And anytime I've been on Tommy, I've always said some shit that he either doesn't agree with or other people don't agree with, and I'm always pushing I'm always opposing a narrative. So it's not hard to understand that we need as men to push back on these narratives and not accept this bullshit. Like I said in my video about Tommy, that you're going to complain about men not being men anymore, but the last time that men were really men was in the 40s and 50s, when men were the ones that went to work. Now you have women like Tommy, who is on Facebook ranting and being a political commentator. That's true, Nate. But you have women that are complaining about there not being men anymore. But if you want men to be men, then you need to accept the fact that you are acting as a man. Like she said that men don't know how to treat ladies anymore. There's not that many ladies out here. There's not a lot of women that act like ladies. There's a lot of women, and there's a lot of women that are successful and they act more like men. But you can't change your role in society and then expect men who have been pushed out of the workforce, who have been pushed out of the places that they were when they were men, expect them to keep the exact same position when they're not in that position anymore. Back in the day, all the high-paying jobs went to men. Men were able to provide for all their families because all the jobs went to men. But now that men are competing with women for the same jobs, there's less men that are making that money. There's less men that are in the same positions that they were 50, 60 years ago, which I'm not arguing that women shouldn't work, or I'm not arguing the fact that men should be the only ones in the workforce, but you can't keep men to a standard that's 50 or 60 years old and then now compete with that man, and you yourself take masculine traits and be competitive like men and act like men and expect men to still be the same as they were 60 years ago. Like that, you can't do that. You can't say that we need to help women and push women up for every single thing and not realize that you're pushing down men and you're coming out with toxic masculinity and there's a feminization of men, and then complain that there's no good men. You can't have both. You need to pick one side or the other. Either you want strong men or you want to not have strong men and have strong women. Just that simple. You can't have both. Like, men and women were made with a certain purpose. Once you start taking the purpose of men and giving it to women, you're not going to have the same strength of men that you used to. It's not that hard to figure out. But that's a little bit of my rant. How are you guys doing today? How's everyone enjoying themselves? You guys having a good Saturday? Yeah. So there's a lot of passive aggressive people on YouTube. I don't know if you know this. like the people on the pe- well that that's not necessarily true, the today slave, because even slaves during slavery, there was a overseer that was a slave that still enforced rules on the other slaves. We're all debt slaves. Every single person is a debt slave. We're all debt slaves. That's a fact. But some have better treatment than others these days. Like women have better benefits than men for the most part. Um, there are so many passive aggressive people on Facebook or on YouTube that it is ridiculous. Like it is absolutely ridiculous. Like I don't know if you guys know of this YouTuber. Her name is what's her name? I think it's K Foster, Kai Foster, I believe. Yeah, Foster is her last name. And she ended up doing a video today about colorism. And I ended up making a comment. Oh, they're working on it. They're not there yet. But she ended up doing a video today that says, "Let's talk about colorism, dating preferences, and self-hate and light skin privilege." And I made a comment, and I've made a couple of videos of this woman. She's a young college student, so she's pretty deep with the wokeness and the feminism. Like she's pretty deep in it, and um, she ended up make in her video about uh the fetishizing women of color. She made a comment that like when she was dating this white dude, that like she couldn't have sex with him all the time because of the historical point of slavery. So because of slavery happening 160 years ago or ending 160 years ago, that the idea of having sex with her white boyfriend all the time was fetishizing her because of the historical context of slavery back then. But she also said in another video that when she dated black dudes, that she would constantly have sex with these guys, and that was okay. And it's weird. It's weird that your idea of sex is changed by the race of the person that you're dating. The idea that you can treat your white boyfriend one way and treat your black boyfriend the other way is weird, because if they're your boyfriend, you should probably treat your boyfriends the same or good. And when she made a comment, she made her video. I made a comment under her video about the whole idea of colorism is really not that, like, the way that she's painted isn't necessary. It's a false lens. It's a false premise, because most people that are mixed claim the fact that they're black. They don't claim the fact that they're white. And that she was saying that people claim being black because they're not accepted by their white counterpart. And I was like, but if that was the case, then there wouldn't be black millionaires. Like Oprah Winfrey had a show that targeted white females for years, and they bought her products, they watched her show, and that was her target audience, and she's a billionaire. If you go look at interviews of Lil Wayne, yeah, men have accepted bullshit. if you go look at Lil Wayne talks about having concerts where he looks into the crowd and most of his crowd is white. The idea that mixed people only pick their black side because they're alienated by their white side that's a false narrative, because any millionaire, like the NBA, any person in the NBA or the NFL that's black that makes money, the main reason that they have the ability to make so much money is because their majority of the population is white. They buy the stuff for the NFL. They watch the games. They support that stuff. Yeah, but this is the thing. It's not even so much that they have a higher standing it's not even so much that they have a higher standing in the white community, or a lower standard in the white community. It's in the white community, you really don't get praised unless you do something. Like they were trying to say that, like, one of the people commented and said that one of the people ended up saying that if it wasn't for these rappers or these people in entertainment, they wouldn't be accepted. And that if you're not providing something to the white society, then the white society doesn't acknowledge you. But the same thing is true with white people. We don't, like, white people aren't just praised and accepted because they're white. Like, that's not even true. You're right. China can fund the NBA. You're 100% right. I'm not disagreeing with you. That's totally true. But as a whole, when it comes to business or when it comes to prosperity, if the white people in the community in the country don't fuck with the shit, you don't get money, white or black. Exactly. Like, it has nothing to do with, like, it's crazy. Like, here, I'm going to read the last comment, guys, that I just got. This is the last comment that was just sent to me. And it's, let me see. Where's it at? Where's it at? So she said, this is one of the comments. So it's like, buddy, you need reading comprehension skills. In my first comment, I actually said nothing about acceptance, which she spelled acceptance wrong. But read it again. You're getting me mixed up with someone else. First of all, you went out on a limb for no reason. When I originally talked about mixed people not wanting to be seen as black in society, but claiming so for the culture, that's all I said. Since you want to go through that, if their black artists weren't famous, entertaining, you would bat an eye at them. If it wasn't for the culture, which I keep bringing up and you keep ignoring, they wouldn't even been accepted. If you watch closely, you'll realize that most black artists fit along one stereotype. All right, she says, Savage, you're also obsessed with Key is weird. You make a whole video on her trying to make an argument, basically saying that liking someone of a certain race because of their race wasn't fetishization, which it is. Then you come back and have else negative to say on a defense mode for no reason. She should block you. So what she was saying earlier in this other comment was that I don't know what you're going with for this comment. It didn't debunk anything I said. Everyone is either fake pro-black, claiming to be black. Where's the comment where she said? Where's the comment she said about China? There was a comment about China that she said. I don't see the comment about China. about China. Yeah, but anyways, I can compare it. It's a valid example of how different white people and black people have it globally. Well, globally, you can't, regardless of the fact, you can't say, well, white people don't accept black people and then point to China. Like that is a horrible. That's horrible. That's a horrible argument. Yeah. And if I wasn't attracted, like these people are stupid. That's dumb. Because that means I'm not attracted. I don't like white women. Like these people are stupid, man. They made like this chick made a comment of, or dude. It says alarm clocks the world. She made a comment about how black folks aren't accepted in China. All right. Yeah. So this chick makes a comment about how black folks aren't liked in China, and I was like, but you can't compare that because it's not America. She goes, I can compare it because I'm talking about how black people are looked at globally. You can't say white society and then go to yellow people, that are Asian. Like it's not the same group of people. You're also talking about communism and capitalism. Like it's the worst comparison that you could ever try to bring up. Like people are fucking stupid. Like they really are. Like why is it that people are so fucking dumb? Like people are dumb, man. I really I'm gonna try to get this chick on this stream, or this dude. Like whoever this person is. Yeah, like and that's the thing. Like yeah, that's a fact. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not watching any sports. Like I'm not going to watch any sports. Like unfortunately, these people like try to make stupid arguments that they can't even back up. Like it's just all emotion. It's all emotion. It's all emotion. Like that's all these people do. Like, oh no, dude, listen, listen, if you watch sports, I'm not one of those guys that tells you that you can or can't do something. I just don't watch sports. I didn't watch sports prior to the wokeness. I especially am not going to watch sports now that they're super wokety woke. But if you gamble on sports and make a living, fuck, do it. If you have a YouTube channel talking about sports and you make money doing it, do it. Like, there's like, if that's how you make your money, man, that's how you make your money. Like, I'm not one to say that you shouldn't or shouldn't do something. Like, the only reason that I give my opinion on certain stuff is because watching sports or not watching sports doesn't affect my life. It doesn't affect other people's lives. It's not going to hurt people. But when people paint false narratives of certain stuff, it does. Like this whole Black Lives Matter movement going out and saying that the cops are out trying to kill black people. That narrative does hurt people. It puts people in fear and gives a hostility towards the cops. So it makes situations that might not have been bad worse. When you go and say that men are trying to kill women and they're not, it's just going to put tension between the genders. Like this idea of painting false narratives doesn't benefit anybody but the person that's telling the lie. Like, yeah, exactly. Gambling doesn't care either way if you're making money from it. Like, just to touch a couple things on earlier, me and the Today Slave, we were going back and forth in the comments. I just want you to understand, the Today Slave, I feel awkward saying that repetitively. I feel awkward saying this back and forth to you, but the videos that I made was based on the narrative that we had. All right. Tommy wasn't talking about any of the outside information that came down for the Floyd incident. If you want to talk or make an argument that it was set up or it was faked or it was set in a situation to make a narrative so that it could be exploited for an agenda, then I totally can agree with that. I have a picture of Floyd's body on the stretcher and he had no legs. I also have a picture of Floyd, the guy that was dead, not the part of him walking back to the car handcuffed, but him on the ground getting picked up and put onto the stretcher, of him not having a tattoo on his chest. There's also a picture of Floyd who had a double-headed eagle on his chest, which is a Freemason symbol. So there is quite a lot of evidence out there that could give the idea that it is staged. Also, there was a person that came out and said that Floyd had died 3 or 4 years prior to the incident with the police. So there are evidence and information out there that paints that this isn't what we're being told. I totally can agree with you on that. But for the majority of the people that are watching the news and the majority of the people that are watching the narrative, they're not going to see, hear, or believe that information. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, if there's a such thing as excited delirium, where you get super excited and your heart gives out. And also, I can tell you that when you overdose, you foam at the mouth, and at some overdoses, you also can bleed out of your mouth. And I know for a fact that foaming out of the mouth does happen with overdoses. Like, he definitely was on drugs, and he definitely was acting erratic. And the cop that was talking to him even said, "You're foaming at the mouth," and he said, "Yeah, I was hooping earlier." So there is clear evidence that he could have died from drugs. And also, if you know anything about having sex with women and they like to be choked, you don't choke a woman on the back of her neck. You choke her from the front. So even if you had your knee on someone's back of their neck, the amount of pressure that you'd have to put would be a lot. It'd be a yeah, but listen, man, even him walking fine doesn't mean anything. If you're on meth and heroin or fentanyl and meth, you could still be going into cardiac arrest and the adrenaline in your blood would be pumping to keep you going. If you go and watch videos of cops, there's guys on PCP that have jumped over fences with barbed wire and their guts are hanging out and they're completely naked and you see them bleeding completely from the front and they're walking fine and they're fighting off the cops. Like when you have drugs in your system, even though you are dying or you are seriously injured, you can be in a state where it doesn't even affect your body. And there are people that have been on PCP that have been shot with an entire clip from a 9mm and they're still walking around. So like just because he was walking fine and just because he was talking does not mean that he wasn't going through cardiac arrest. Doesn't mean that he wasn't having. He said in the cop car before anyone touched him that he couldn't breathe. So even if you think he was set up, him being set up, there's no reason for, unless you think he was in on the setup, there was no reason for him to say that he was having trouble breathing while he was in the cop car and no one was on his neck. Yeah, so either way, what all my argument was is even if the cop wouldn't have put his knee on his neck, he more than likely still would have died or succumbed to drugs. And if you do believe that he was set up, then it would definitely make sense that whoever gave him drugs was probably in on the setup and they probably gave him stronger drugs or mixed the drugs to make sure that if the cop didn't follow what he was supposed to do, the drugs would probably end up killing him either way. So even if the cop didn't play his role, the death would still happen under the cop's watch and it would still get the same benefit. That's all I'm saying. Like, even if you do think that he was set up, he probably still was going to more than likely die from those drugs. More than likely than not, that cop didn't have to do anything. Well, if he was on methamphetamines, you also don't know how long he was up for. If you're up for 3 days straight, you start to release DMT into your bloodstream and you start hallucinating. After 3 days of sleep without sleep, you hallucinate. And meth already makes you panic. It already makes you have anxiety. It already makes you be anxious. So there are multiple things that happened in that could explain his behavior. Like, it doesn't have to necessarily be just one thing, and it doesn't necessarily have to be just another thing. It could be a mixture of all of those things. It's hard to say because drugs do affect people differently, and we don't know. There's a lot of things in this that we don't know. We don't know how long he was up for. We don't know if he had those drugs in his system, if he didn't have those drugs in his system. Like, a lot of this is being told to us based off a narrative that we have to somewhat believe and somewhat not believe. That's it. And I personally don't I don't care. I really don't care either way if they change the policy of you being able to use use your knee on their neck or not. Like, I don't have a stake in the fight either one way or the other. Like, I really don't care. But again, when it comes down to personal responsibility, and no problem today, Slave. I'll talk to you later. Anyone that wants to come up here onto the stream, you're more than welcome to come up here and join. Yeah, last night I was gonna go live after Tommy got off, but he didn't get off till like 1 in the morning. Listen, if people don't like the policy and they want it changed, who am I to argue with them? I don't really care either way. I don't have a dog in the fight one way or the other. You know, if it shows that it's necessary, then keep it. If it shows that the job can be done without putting more police officers and more people in danger, then get rid of it. Like it doesn't really matter to me one way or the other. Yeah, the independent autopsy says that. Yeah, CNN does fake news for one. Two, the independent I don't trust the independent for the simple fact that the family already planned on suing, and by them hiring that guy and him doing that autopsy, that autopsy would give them a good clear case to go sue the cops. And that independent autopsy said that there was no drugs in his system. Like, stop barking. Just Katana, stop. And the independent autopsy also said there was no drugs in his system, which we all know is crazy. Nobody is going to tell me that he didn't have drugs in his system. Like, you can't say that. You're not going to act that way without drugs in your system. And you're not going to have coke on you. He had coke on him, and they said there was no drugs in his system. So how are you going to tell me a dude had drugs on him and acted like he was on drugs but had no drugs in his system? Like, you already have to question it just on that fact alone. Like, if I tell you that I'm a heroin addict and they do an autopsy on me, and one autopsy says that there's drugs in my system, and then another autopsy says that there's no drugs in my system, but you see me on YouTube talking about how I do heroin every single day, why would you not believe the one that has drugs in my system? If you see me nodding out on camera, I'm pretty sure the one from the coroners from the police has been released. That they said he had heart disease and his heart was enlarged and he had drugs in his system. And I'm pretty sure the one that was released by the family is also out. I think that you can find both of those on the internet. I could be wrong when it comes to that, but I'm pretty sure that is true. Like, honestly, I do believe that the narrative was I have questions about the whole situation, because I think the whole idea was to be able to get the idea to defund the police so that Marxist people could start taking over the country and start chaos. I do totally think that was a thing. I do think that there's a narrative that's being painted, just like with the start of Black Lives Matter back in 2016, when they had the hands up, don't shoot with Mike Brown. It was proven that Mike Brown did not have his hands up, that he attacked the cop, he attacked the store owner, and he tried to get the gun of the police officer. And that was by witnesses in the area that were black, that were there and seen it. The only person that said that he had his hands up and said don't shoot was the person he was with, who was his friend, that was also there when he committed that crime. 1 second. I'm going to go get a headset.
All right. Testing. All right.
What's up?
Nothing much, man. How's it going?
It's all right.
Yeah.
Can't complain.
Yeah. Well, I didn't come on to say anything negative or go back and forth. I was just kind of giving my input or my opinion. So with this situation, I posted in a comment that in the desert, we had someone that was detained and they died from a knee to the back of the neck. Why I think the policy needs to be changed is for the simple fact that it could pretty much kill anyone. Like, let's say that there's a situation where there's an incident and the cops don't know who's at fault and they need to detain everyone. If they're putting knees to the back of the neck, they could kill people. It could be for a simple reason that maybe I'm a big guy and they feel they need to apply extra weight to me. The next easy place to manipulate someone, you know? So if they put a knee to the back of my neck, they could kill me even though I didn't do anything. I was just there. You know what I mean?
Well, I got a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
So would you say that Floyd was complying?
No, he wasn't.
Okay. So the person that the person in the desert, were they complying?
Yeah.
They complied. They just threw him on the ground and sat on his neck.
Yeah, this is a procedure. When you go into a clear building, you have to detain everyone because you don't know who's a threat.
Correct.
The person wasn't a combatant and they died. It was an accident, so no one got in trouble. Because of the facts coming out now, I don't believe the cop should be tried because he was doing his job. You know what I mean?
Well, even with the facts coming out, when they arrested those cops the second day or the third day after the incident, they weren't going to get convicted.
Right.
Because the charges that they put, they didn't meet that criteria.
Yeah, but they smeared this guy. They pretty much fucked this guy's life up. And that's one thing that I don't agree with. I don't feel that he should have been sent to trial. I'm talking about the police officer. Yeah, if he did his job, then he did his job. Whether or not it's right or not is something that you have to talk about. Remember, laws are typically written in blood. This guy died, so they have to change the policy. You know what I mean?
Well, here's the other issue that you have to also understand. If me and you were in a bar, all right, and for whatever reason, we got into an altercation, all right, and we fought each other or wrestled, there's a chance of one of us dying, correct?
That's true, yes.
Okay, so any person that resists arrest, if there's any sort of force that needs to be applied to a person, has a chance of dying. You can fall and hit your head and die.
Right.
So like at the end of the day, regardless if you change a policy or not, you can't stop every death. Like you just can't.
That's true, you know, but putting the knee on the back of the neck, you know, I guess it's kind of established that it can kill someone. And when you're trying to arrest someone, you're not really trying to kill them. So, you know, if it's could possibly kill someone, they've done other policy changes for things that are less lethal than a knee to the back of the neck. They have, you know, so they've changed policies for tasing people.
Well, I personally don't have a dog in the fight. Like I was saying, I don't care if they change the policy or they don't change the policy.
You do actually, because it could happen to you. You could run into a situation where, for example, maybe your girlfriend or your baby mom gets angry at you and she calls the police and lies on you and they don't know what's going on and they quickly try to take you down and you look like a big dude. I don't know how big you are, but if you're a big dude and a police officer is smaller, they might decide, you know what? It warrants me putting the knee to the back of the neck to make sure that he doesn't get back up.
Well, I'm 6'3".
Now, that's the wrong judgment. Yeah, but that's the wrong judgment, but the judgment could be made that way.
Well, I'm 6'3" and I'm 200 pounds, so I'm not the smallest dude. I'm not the largest dude, but I have been arrested multiple times.
Right.
And do you know one thing that's never happened? I've never resisted arrest.
You got killed?
Not once. Not once.
Right. But you could get Officer Chen. That day you could get Officer Chen, and Officer Chen is 5'4" and weighs maybe 130 pounds and puts the knee on the back of your neck and kills your ass.
Yeah, but at the same time, like the odds of that is probably the same level, if not double the level of winning the lottery. Right. Like you can't, you can't.
That's true.
You can't make laws for a small, minute minority of a situation to apply to all situations, because the greater part of those situations. This
is a bit different.
How many people have died from their knee?
A cop's job. But a cop's job is to protect and serve. And if it could potentially cause a risk to someone, then they have to evaluate the policy. Whether they're going to change it or not, I don't know. But I spoke to a couple of friends that are police officers that have been in for a while. One of my friends has been on the force for 15 years, and he says that they do need to evaluate it, and more than likely they're going to change it because you cannot have any risk to citizens at all.
That's
none at all.
fine.
You're supposed to eliminate all risk.
That's completely fine. But again, like I was saying, how many people have died from knees on their neck?
Honestly, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. This is the first case that was This is the first case that was publicized. To be honest, I think it was publicized because it's a black guy and a white cop. I think if it was two black people, it wouldn't be publicized. If it was two white people, it wouldn't be publicized. Honestly.
Well, in 2016, Tony Tempa died this exact same way. The only difference is he called the police for help. He cried and begged for his mother, and the cops mocked him, and they stat on him for even longer and mocked him as he died. And you didn't see that in the news.
Right, so, that's what I'm saying. But that right there is a completely, totally different issue, on how black issues that are considered important by blacks are getting more media attention than just tragedies in general.
Yeah,
that's a totally different issue. Me personally, I don't necessarily think it's right. You know what I mean? I think that if it's one issue, go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's because we're like 6 days from slavery. Like we just left slavery like 6 days ago. That's why, because black folks are oppressed so much.
Right, but they painted this guy to be a saint, and he wasn't a saint. Regardless of if we're 6 days from slavery or not,
That was sarcasm.
They pretty much turned this guy into a martyr when.
Yeah, but look at that was sarcasm. Look at FBG Duck.
Right.
Did you just see like what his mom and his family was saying in Chicago?
You get no arguments from me there. I think all of them need to be obliterated. You get no argument at all.
well, no, but I'm just saying, like, okay, so this is my point, and this is more of a black issue that is just a black issue. So, Duck got signed to Sony after he made a song called Slide, which is about doing drive-bys. All right, and then he was shown with a gun in his last video called Dead Bitches or something like that, where he's talking about killing people. Well, then they pull up on him, and his gun jammed, the same gun he had in the last two videos that he had. His mom comes out after he's dead and says, well, he wasn't a gangster. He wasn't a gangbanger. He was an artist. He was an entertainer. He wasn't violent.
That's nigga revision history right there. Black people do that shit all the time, man. They always like to paint everybody to be a saint, even though they know he was terrorizing the neighborhood with everybody else.
Well, there's a photo. There's a photo of his mom and him. He's in the photo with his mom throwing up gang symbols, and then there's videos of her talking to his ops and having sex with his ops. And
did you see the sex tape? Did you see the sex tape?
I did. And her doing this and saying gang, gang, gang in the text messages and stuff. So at the end of the day, she knew what was going on and she didn't care. And it's only after he dies.
Know that, man.
Well, yeah.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing about the black community. Women typically have children and parade them around like poodles or whatever. One of her poodles died. That's what happened. One of her poodles died. She's getting attention because her poodle died. It's pretty much what happened. This lady's probably never gotten any attention in her life, but the 3 times that she got fucked to have kids, and then her kids died. That is like her claim to fame right there. She's soaking it up too. Instagram and Facebook followings over her son's death.
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you, but again, black women are also the ones that point this idea of colorism and point this idea of shame. it's black women that push these narratives in the media about oppression and all this stuff. Like,
yeah. Do you want my perspective on the situation in Chicago? Do you want my honest perspective?
Sure.
The government,
I want you to lie to me,
is tying the hands, but yeah, the government's tying the hands behind the citizens' backs. We can't police our own neighborhoods because to take care of violence, you have to meet violence with violence. It takes wolves to protect sheep. If vigilantes went around and started shooting the gangsters on the street corners, you know what would happen? They would be painted to be martyrs, and we would be arrested, and we would be sent to jail. We would be giving up our freedom to protect the neighborhood.
Which government?
That's something that I would like to do, honestly. The U.S. government. If I went,
wait,
the U.S. government.
Hold on. Federal government or state government or city government?
I think it would be federal. I think it would be the federal government that would allow that.
Okay, so I got a question.
If I knew, let me just say this right quick. If I knew who put a bullet in an 11-year-old's skull trying to kill another gangbanger, and I went there and I just started to wipe all of them out, I would go to jail. I would be found guilty. I would probably do 20 years for murder. Criminals don't play by the same rules that are set by us.
But would you be prosecuted by the federal government or the state government?
That would be federal. That would be federal. I think that would be federal right there. Murder?
What? Nope, it would not. It'd be state.
If it's a capital case, I'm not too familiar with the law, but aren't cases that are capital cases?
A capital case would be like
that's murder, multiple murder right there.
Murder is not a federal crime.
No, not just that. Murder depends on how many.
Even still,
what's the dude that killed all the black people in the church? The dude that killed all the black people in the church, they gave him that was a capital case.
That was a hate crime.
Roof, yeah, that was capital.
That was because it was a hate crime.
Oh, okay. So you think that if it wasn't considered a hate crime and it was a black person let's say a white person that went into a church and killed a bunch of white people, you don't think that they would have tried to give him the death penalty? They would have gave his ass a death penalty, man. Come on.
Yeah, because that would,
regardless of whether hate or not, it's killing many people.
Yes, but again, it would fall under the idea of terrorism. But the idea that he was white killing black people, it was more likely to get fallen under hate crime statutes.
Right.
If it was a white guy going into a church, it'd be terror.
Let me ask you this. Yeah, let me ask you this. So if I went to a street corner and I mowed down a bunch of gangbangers, you don't think that they will try to give me the death sentence for it?
I don't. It depends on
my
your
reason.
State,
if my reason, I'm from Florida originally. So if my reason was that they were terrorizing our neighborhood, 6 or 7 of them, no death penalty. You don't think so?
So again, in order for for the feds to get involved, you'd have to meet certain criteria. So if you're from Florida and you drove to Chicago with the idea to kill a bunch of gangbangers, then that would be a federal crime because you crossed state borders to do this crime. But if you lived in Chicago and you shot a bunch of gangbangers on your block, it would be a state crime because it was just a murder case. Okay. Now, if you were a felon and you weren't supposed to have a gun and you shot a gangbanger in Chicago where the gun laws are strict, it could be a federal case because a felon, when it comes to being a felon and having a gun, that's a federal crime to be in possession of a gun as a felon. But again, it comes down to the context of the law. And if you also remember specifically, Trump has been telling Chicago that they need to clean it up or he's going to be sending the military in to correct it for the last 3 or 4 years. And he just went to send the National Guard in there a few weeks ago.
I think that's all. I think that's all talk. I don't think that they're going to do shit. I think it's just pandering. He's saying that, but I don't think they're going to do anything. I would like to see that, but I don't think it's going to happen. He
sent people, and Lightfoot told them not to get them out of her city.
Why are murders still happening then if the National Guard is there?
Because they're not. Because he was told to get his people out of the state. The mayor said, we don't want him. Take him back. Take him out of here.
Yeah, but doesn't the president, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, the president kind of overrides that. If the president feels that it's necessary to send in the military, he can authorize that, whether they want to or not. He has the ability to authorize that. I'm not 100% sure, but I think so.
He does have the ability as of right now because of the national emergency things that are going on. And he can also overwrite some local governments based on that. But also you have to remember, it has to, like, he's responsible for what he does and the optics. So if the locals don't want your help and you send you send the National Guard in to take over for the locals, and they've been saying that you're a dictator for 4 years, that's not really it's not gonna benefit you. It's not gonna work out for you. If you look at Portland, he sent the National Guard to pick up Antifa members that were catching stuff on fire, and they were saying that he was having secret police out there, and they weren't wearing badges, and they were secret, and no one knew who they were. But the photos that they were showing during the articles show that they had names and badges on. So you have to understand that a lot of these local Democratic governments are painting a false narrative on Trump, and Trump is somewhat trying to dance around that.
With the situation in Chicago, I think that the optics are already bad. Nothing that he does one way or the other is going to make him look worse. It's really bad.
Okay, so
it's really bad. If you go to Google Images and you look at you go to Google Images and you search murders in Chicago and just look at all the images, it's motherfuckers with brains sticking out and shit like that. Can't be any worse than that, bro.
I don't disagree with you, but at the same time, you had gangbanger's mom who's got killed saying that he wasn't a gangbanger, watching him throw gang signs, say that he wasn't a gangbanger, and also at the same time
you keep bringing that up, and you're right. But what I would like to know regarding that is you say that to say what? You keep bringing up the guy's mom to say what?
Well, the fact is she was saying that he wasn't a gangbanger, and then also saying that she wants justice for her son, but also at the same time said Black Lives Matter and police brutality is a problem, and they needed to defund the police. That's my point.
Right.
She doesn't even know what.
She's an idiot, though.
Yeah, but what you have to understand is most of these people that are pushing for Black Lives Matter or pushing for the defunding of police, as soon as something happens, they expect the police to be there. But before that, they were saying, fuck you, you're racist, you're Nazis. They're calling them racial slurs. They're attacking them. Like, the problem is a lot of these people that need the help either don't want the help or they want the help after the fact, after they've already done some bullshit.
Right.
Like, if you look at in New York, any places where they've been defunding the police, murders have been skyrocketing. New York's like 251% increased murder rate right now. Chicago, same idea. So like, there's too much murky water at this point. Just like Trump is talking about
the lady's a moron. Everybody's making it about race, and it's not about race. It's classism. Agree. In America, we have classism. We don't have racism. Everybody's kind of trying to push a narrative that is whites against blacks. I'm originally from Miami Beach, where, it's very diverse. I have white friends and I have black friends. And we never really dealt with issues of color. We dealt more with class issues. Rich people are different than poor people, and you kind of gravitate towards your class. And rich people tend to have more benefits than poor people. They tend to get away with a lot more shit, I have white friends that are in the same class as me that will go to jail the same way I would go to jail if I did some shit.
Yeah.
So, it's more about class than it is about race. Everybody's making it about that because it's a lot easier.
Well, I agree with you, but at the same time, like, I don't believe in privilege. I think privilege is a bullshit argument because
you do. There is privilege. Privilege, you're born into it. If, for example, I'm upper middle class. When I have children, my children are going to be upper middle class. I don't know what class you're in, But when you have kids, or you have kids already, your kids are gonna get benefits that you worked for. So there is
I got
privilege. It's based on what you're born into.
I got a
That's
question for you.
classism.
How tall
Go
are
ahead.
you?
I'm 6'3".
Okay, you're 6'3". So do you have an advantage over someone that's 5'4" that's male?
Yes, I do. I can reach things they can't reach.
More women are probably attracted to you because you're 6'3", right? Because women like men that are 6 foot or
Yeah,
taller.
right. And
So,
see, that goes back to what I'm saying, though. That's an
question.
inherited advantage that I have.
Okay, so with that same premise, because you have a privilege of being tall, should we cut you off at the knees to make it fair for the 5'4" guy?
No, but
Correct.
the thing is that I acknowledge my advantage. It doesn't mean that other people should be jealous of me. It's just that we all have our stations in life. You know what I mean? A person that's ugly, it can get what they can get with. They shouldn't demonize a good-looking person.
Okay, but the point that I'm saying is everything has an advantage and a disadvantage, and having this idea of
Right.
privilege is a false narrative. It's an oversimplification. It's an oversimplification to paint someone in a light that they can't argue from. That's all it is. Because we don't have a, like, how many women out here do you hear say, I love men with small penises?
Right.
How many men?
I watched. I'm a Tommy Sotomayor fan, and I watched. Somebody brought it up when we were dealing with Rashida Strober. I remember hearing that. Yeah, it was Brian. Brian brought that analogy up. I get what you're saying. What I'm saying is that while people shouldn't be demonized for having advantages, we should still at least acknowledge that the advantage is there. I'm 6'3". I am going to acknowledge that I do have an easier time than a person that's 5'7". You know, I'm 6'3", 5'7" person. I have an advantage. I'm not going to say that we're equal. I think I don't want to misquote you, but I think that is what you're trying to say, is that we're equal. No, I have an advantage. My advantage in a certain case is my privilege.
But okay, so here's the thing. If not all men are equal based on what they've accomplished, based on their looks, based on their money and their status, if we can agree on those facts, then how can anyone be equal?
I think that maybe your interpretation of it is a lot different than mine.
Correct. What I'm saying is, are you equal to LeBron James?
Yes, I am.
You're equal to him?
Yeah.
In what way are you equal?
I have the same opportunity. I can try out for the basketball team in high school. It's up to them whether they choose me. Me not being equal would be them telling me that I can't try out.
Yeah,
right?
But that's not. But that
is equality.
Yes, but again, the idea of privilege is based that people get an advantage just because. That takes away opportunity. So the idea that men have it easier because they're men, so they have male privilege, they can go and do the same job you can do. That doesn't mean men are privileged. Just because a woman,
it is a privilege to have certain advantages.
It doesn't.
It is a privilege.
Because whatever.
Why wouldn't it be a privilege?
Because whatever advantage that you have is also a disadvantage. This world is based on duality. There's light and there's dark.
That's an interesting concept. Did
you wrestle in high school?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so were you tall in high school?
Yes, I was.
How was your shoot game?
It was all right. It was decent. I had a good shoot game. I wasn't a superstar.
But it was harder.
The star was taller than me, actually. Bryce was taller than me.
But most of the people that you wrestled were shorter than you, correct?
No, we're about the same size. I would say we're about the same size. My weight class, I was 150 pounds. Everybody was about my height.
Okay, so we both know that when you're taller than the other people that you wrestle with, your shoot game is not going to be as good because they're lower than you. When it comes to when it comes down to using your advantages in a wrestling match, You have to play to your advantage. So
Well,
if you're
see,
tall,
now I
it's
can jive with what you're saying. Now I can jive with what you're saying. See, the thing is as human beings, we like to pick and choose when we don't like someone to have an advantage. Now, me and you are now. I'm vibing with you. Now I get you.
so
That's the issue. That right there is the conundrum right there. What you're saying. We pick and we choose.
yes, that's why I said the idea of privilege is like the way that like white privilege or male privilege, all these, this idea that they put is a false narrative, because just as something is a
Right.
benefit, it is also a narrative. It is a negative. Like if
Right.
your dick game is shit because you have a small inch penis, I'm gonna assume that your mouth game probably is on point because you got to make up for that lack, right?
No, you actually said that wrong in my opinion. See, here's the thing right here. A guy with a big dick has more privilege than a guy with a small dick, because the guy with a big dick probably can't fuck, but will get more opportunities to fuck because his dick is big.
So
That's
it's
a privilege right there. He will get
but
more
it's
opportunities. He might be
but it's
shitty, but he'll get more chances to fuck.
but my point is, even
That's
though
a
he gets
privilege.
even though he has more opportunities, and that's an advantage, his dick game is trash because he doesn't know how to use it, because he hasn't developed that ability, because he thinks that his dick is enough. So the guy that knows that his dick's not enough, he
Right.
makes up for it with another thing.
Right.
So in the same instances, you have a benefit, you
It's not.
also
It's
have
not.
a negative.
That's not a good analogy, bro.
But it
That's
is.
not a good analogy, because the dude's trying to fuck. He's trying to skeet. He's probably not going to go back again. Being able
Yeah,
to
but
fuck is what you're trying to do. So
correct.
yeah, you get more chances
So
versus a guy that wants to fucking can't.
yeah, but do you date women?
So it's a privilege.
Do you date women?
Yeah, I'm married.
Oh, so you're
Yeah, I'm
married.
married.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Yes.
are you just trying to skeet, or are you trying to please your wife?
Try to please my wife. Yeah, of course.
So you have the same dick.
Damn, you don't smile, man. Why don't you smile? You're making me nervous. You don't smile at all. What the hell?
You have the same dick in a different circumstance, and if you had a big dick for 20 years and you were trash with it, now that big dick might not be enough for your wife, so you have to overcome that negative. It's the same argument. Even though you have an advantage in this situation, you're still going to have a negative with that same situation. So we live in a world of duality. You cannot have the sun and you can't have the light without the darkness. We can't have man without the woman. Our reality is based on
here's the thing. I think a better analogy for what you're trying to say would be I live in Asia. My wife is Asian. So this would be a better analogy. White guys in Thailand are loved by Thai women. They like white skin because Thai women are typically tan. So when you go to Japan, Japanese women love black men. That's duality right there. I have an advantage in Japan. You have an advantage in Thailand. That's a better analogy. Thai women like white guys. Japanese women like black guys. See, that's a better analogy. That makes more sense. Japanese women are crazy about black guys. I could pretty much get any Japanese. Yeah, it is, but it makes more sense. Something that makes more sense.
It's the same logic.
That's more straightforward. That's a more straightforward analogy.
But it's the same logic, because the advantage of you being black in one country is a negative in the other country. Me having a giant penis with one chick is a negative with a different chick. Like it's the same logic. Same logic.
It's not a negative in it's the analogy. The analogy that I brought up, being black in Thailand is not a negative. It just means that I will have to work a little bit more harder to get with women. In Japan, you could get with Japanese women, but go ahead. What are you saying?
Okay,
a lack of what?
It's a lack of privilege. So if you have to overcome something, then that would be a lack of privilege. And the guy next to you that doesn't have to work as hard would be a privilege. But if you change countries, it now becomes the opposite. You have to work less hard, and he has to work harder.
Right. And see that that's the thing. As a black dude, here's the issue that I have. We're in a society where we have societal norms. people have to conform to those norms in order to, I guess,
Everybody
get
does.
certain benefits. Well, the issue that I have with black people, or not all black people, but the majority of them, is the simple fact that they want to remain how they are and get the same benefits as people that are conforming. When you conform, you're Uncle Tom. I shouldn't have to conform, but I should be able to get what the Uncle Tom has, who made the changes or who grew up in a certain environment that meshes well with the, I guess, the environment that he's in.
Well, Uncle Tom was a hero, so
Do you agree
that's
or you
bad.
don't? No,
Well,
no. No. That's what I'm called, man. I'm called an Uncle Tom.
I get it.
I said they tell me that I speak white. They tell me that I speak white because because I'm a college graduate. You know, I'm given a bunch of shit. I know about Uncle Tom's Cabin. Read the book like 10 times. Did a book report on it in 5th grade.
I get it. Also, but with the same context, whenever someone tries to discredit me or say something, they called me a wigger, and that's black people that call me a wigger.
I know, it's a white nigger.
Yeah. So like
yeah.
At the same time, like you're right 100% that people don't want to conform, but even white people have to conform to society. Like I can't go to work.
Right, and you're not getting an argument for me at that. I'm saying what the problem is, what the issue is. The issue is that they want to remain the same way because you remember back in the 80s and the early 90s, who was villainized in media? Now it's what's popular. What's popular is gangster rap and all this BS. So, you know, in media you have a lot of gangster stuff. You have a lot of gangster music. Back in the 80s and the 90s, who were the gangsters?
There really weren't gangsters.
Punks and the metalheads. Punks in the metalheads were villainized. Those were our gangsters back in the 80s and the 90s. You watch Terminator with Bill Paxton at the beginning. They didn't show any thugs. They showed what? Punk rockers. Well, so now we have an evolution. Go ahead.
I can agree with you if you're going to make that comparison. When you said gangsters in the 80s, it kind of threw me off because I wasn't looking at punks in that way. But yeah, it'd be a subculture. I can understand where you're going.
Right. So, you know, what we have is we have an evolution now where we have pop culture for a lot of black kids now is the thug thing. The only issue that I have is all the murder. If they were singing their songs and doing whatever they're doing, that's cool. But the fact that people are trying to live this stuff, because these punk rockers were doing their thing and they weren't bothering anybody really.
Well,
not that I know of. I don't know of any. Go ahead.
Well, at the same time, I really think that as a black society, I really do. Black people in society really don't. They want to do everything that they can do not to conform to society, because if that was the case, then being black would not be, as Tommy says, talking like slavery just ended yesterday. Like there would be there'd be no reason to do stuff like that, and not to shame other blacks that say that they talk white. But unfortunately, the issue is right now is I think that black folks have been given the ability to do whatever they want, and they are boasted in their behavior. So there is a regression of not conforming, and it's not going to benefit them, because with anything, if it doesn't work, then you adapt. But black folks are given the ability to not have to adapt, so it's going to be longer before they do that adapting, and it's going to hurt them altogether.
Believe it or not, black people like me are discriminated against. We're discriminated against because we don't meet a certain stereotype that I guess companies want to push for EEO. When they need an EEO hire, they're not going to hire me. They're going to want to hire somebody that seems more urban, because it makes you look like you're trying to be more diverse.
Well, it just depends again in the context of what you're going as a job for. Like if you're going to be
like corporate, like working in an office, like working as a programmer or something, or working in a call center.
Yeah, but like they
will look for a more urban person.
Yeah, but there's plenty of black folks, black men that work in corporations that are what black folks would consider Oreos, that have jobs. But if you're going on,
that's because the ratchet ones are too stupid to get those jobs. You don't see a lot of them in there. The ghetto ones are too stupid. They can't.
I'm not arguing or disagreeing with you, but also at the same time, if you're doing a marketing campaign and you want to seem like you're woke or whatnot, obviously necessarily the guy that speaks good English or seems educated or doesn't act like a jackass would probably not be the one you want to put out there if you're trying
we're talking about EEO hiring. For example, scholarships. I have both my parents, so it's harder for me to get a scholarship than someone that doesn't have both their parents.
Yeah, but that's also a you being a man type of thing too.
Well, no, guys that have a single mother but score lower on the SAT will get the scholarship before I do.
I don't disagree with you, but what I'm saying is you as a man should realize that society is not fair for you in general. And even if you only had your mom, you're more than likely not going to get a scholarship compared to a black woman. The black woman's going to beat you because she's more of a minority than you are for that minority scholarship.
She's a woman and she's black. She's a woman and she's
correct.
Black, yes.
Yeah. So so at the end of the day, like I agree with you, but it's more of an argument that you're a male. Like you being a black male, you're at the bottom of the black hierarchy when it comes to advantages in society with the government. And then I'm a black
male with a father.
Yeah, so you're at the very bottom, and then white men are at the very, 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 very bottom of the victimhood class. Like you're right above us, and we're right at the bottom. And then everyone that's gay or a woman or anything above is above all of us. Like we're pretty much in the same boat, is what it comes down to in society when it comes to giving people special benefits. Like a lot of the times the argument is there's more disparity between men and women than there is between white men and black men.
What do you mean? Can you clarify? What do you mean?
Yeah. So say you and your wife have one child, okay, and you both go rob a bank.
Right.
Here in America, they're gonna give you a harsh ass sentence and say that even though your wife she was the mastermind, they're gonna only look at her as the victim. And they're going to say, well, someone has to take care of this kid. And they're going to give her probation for the crime. And they're going to give you fucking 5 years because you're a man. And the same thing happens if me and my black baby mom go and commit a crime. I'm going to still get a fuck ton of time. And I'm still going to get more time than she's going to get. Like, as men, we're going to do far more time, and we're going to be looked as the aggressor or the mastermind, or we were controlling the woman. That's what I mean when it comes. There's a lot more in common with black men and white men compared to men and women. Like men and women, the disparities are way worse. Like if you go to Cleveland, if you go into like you go down to the child support office, majority of the people working there are black women. When you go to the courthouse, most of the people working there are black women. When you go to a lot of these places in the inner city for the government, it's majority of black women, not that as many black men. Like as a whole, men any color are similar when it comes to hiring practices in favor than it is when it comes to women of any race.
Right.
Just like in the court system, if you were to get married and divorced, it doesn't matter if you're white or black, you're going to get treated the way that you're going to get treated because you're a man. And she's going to get what she gets because she's a woman. Now, there is obviously, when it comes to certain things, there is a difference between black men and white men in some instances. But that disparity is a lot closer than the disparity between the genders. Like a man is 6 times more likely, or a man is going to do 6 times more crime or more time on the same crime as a woman compared to a black man, a black man getting 2 times more longer of a sentence than a white man.
Right.
The disparity is way closer.
Right. Well, like I can never honestly say that I've never dealt with the court system. I've never been to jail, and I've honestly, knock on wood, I've never had to deal with any racism. Never. Even getting pulled over, I owned a sport car and I got stopped a lot, and every time I stopped, police were nice to me. So I honestly don't. I cannot relate to any of the stuff that you just mentioned. Honestly,
Well,
I can't.
well, yeah, but here's the thing. I have a friend that is half Puerto Rican, half black, and like
Okay.
we lived in the same house in Kent, which is like a college town, and we lived in one of those houses where you rent a room and it's a bunch of college people partying and going to school and shit. Fortunately, I wasn't going to school. I just lived in the house and was, doing my thing. But like he made the same comment to me about, being profiled and shit, and we got pulled over one time and they yoked me out of the car and bounced me off the hood. They didn't treat him like that at
Because
all.
you're tatted up. That's why, huh?
Correct. And I have a record.
Yeah.
Like I have a record. So
Oh, I
they,
see. Yeah.
they did they treated me one way and they treat him in the other way. And at the end of the day, a lot of people don't realize what's actually going on. And a perfect example of this is back in 2012, I got pulled over, and I pulled up to a gas station to pick up my dude L, who is black, and he was waiting at the gas station. I had him dropped off up there because we were having a cookout at my house, and I was selling drugs out of my apartment, but I wasn't having people come to my apartment. I would meet them somewhere, and I didn't want his people to come and know where I lived because I was selling drugs. So I picked him up at the gas station. Well, there was a cop there that was watching him. When he got in the car with me, we were driving Salt and Pepper, and the cop followed us out of the back of the parking lot and followed me to my house. When I pulled over, he ended up pulling us over, and he told me that my car smelled like weed and he wanted to search it. And I told him no. He brought a drug dog. The drug dog hit. And the whole time, L was saying that the cop was racist. And the reason that the cop was doing this was because he was black. Well, 4 or 5 months later, my door got kicked in by Drug Task Force. And I had a secret indictment on me during that time, and I was under investigation. So in the context of that situation, we both agreed that it was the cop being racist and it was because he was black. But in hindsight, after I got my door kicked in, it was actually me being a drug dealer and then trying to investigate me, that they were after me. He just was in the car and he just happened to be black. And a lot of the times people like to put a racial context to things, but they don't know if that's true or not true. They use this, oh, well, dog whistles and reading between the lines, and you have to really look for the racism now. So there's just too much hypersensitivity when it comes to race.
Can I say this? If I were to have dreads and I were to dress a certain way, there's no doubt in my mind that I wouldn't be profiled. But that's not really who I am, and that's not my style. If I were to be tatted up like you, I would probably get stopped, especially if I look like that and I'm driving a sport car. I'd probably get stopped. Not necessarily because I'm black, but because I guess of economics. Black people typically don't drive those type of cars, so me having that they probably think I stole it or something, which I think is a fair assessment. It is a fair assessment.
Yeah, but also at the same time, like, L didn't have dreads. L wasn't dressed like any thug. He just had a shirt and pants on.
But he was hanging around a white boy that was tatted up, though. Come on, man.
Well, at that
you
time,
kind of gave him away. If both of you guys were wearing suits, or both of you guys were dressed casually, probably wouldn't have been like that. You probably wouldn't have raised an eyebrow.
Yeah, but I was already under I was already under police investigation.
I
So
don't think that
regardless
that
of
cop that saw you though was staking you guys out. I think that he just happened to see you guys. Honestly, I don't think he was following you. I think you're smart enough to know a tail. If somebody was tailing you, you would have
on
noticed. It
no,
just so
yeah,
happened.
yeah, but listen, he was in the parking lot and he pulled out right behind me. Like I
Right.
knew he was following me. But when he got behind me and ran my plate, like he didn't know who I was when I pulled up. He might have. He
Right.
might have known my face. I didn't have face test at the time.
Right.
But he might have not known who it was until he pulled me over. And once he pulled me over, he really wanted to push this drug thing. And I
Right.
did have a secret indictment on me. So
Right.
at the end of the day, what's more likely? The fact that the cop was racist or the fact that I was under investigation for drugs?
I don't know.
The simple answer is probably the
You don't.
investigation.
I don't think so, man. You think that they would have followed you? You think that they followed you? They did an operation to get you. You think it was a sting? Is what you're saying? You think it was a sting?
No, I don't think it was a sting, but what I think it was is I think they saw me and I picked someone up from a gas station, regardless if they were black or white. I picked a person up from a gas station and then drove to my house. The fact that I
Right.
was picking a person up and then I went to my house, they knew that I sold drugs and they were probably betting the odds that I had drugs on me
Okay. All right.
because
Okay. I get what you're
they
saying.
had they had already had an informant that had purchased drugs from me on I had already sold drugs on camera.
Right.
So they already knew that I sold drugs. And after I ended up getting arrested, they ended up sitting outside my house for weeks in marked cars, letting me know that they were watching me.
So let me ask you this. I just want to ask this. It's a little bit personal. You don't have to answer if you don't want to. Why sell drugs? Out of all
Why
the
not?
things that you could do, why? I know. I'm asking. I seriously
Because
want to know. I'm not trying to be sarcastic. I'm not being judgmental. I'm curious. You don't
because
have to answer if you don't want. Go ahead.
most of the males in my life sold drugs. Most of my family were tied into like my big cousin was tied into the mob and tied to the cartels and has done federal prison time multiple times for drug trafficking. He's now dead, but that's what my family did. And I went out on my own at like 17, 18 years old. And you got to think, I'm 31 and I was supposed to graduate in '07, and that's right before the house bubble. There really wasn't work going on. There was a whole lot of shit that wasn't going on. So
Right.
I did what I knew. And once you start selling drugs, you like the money, you like the perceived power, you get addicted to that. So that's what I did.
Okay, I got you. All right. Okay. So I was just curious because from what I know, and I don't know too much about it, it's not really worth it when you consider the risk that you take and the
It's
amount of
not.
money you get. It's not worth it.
It's not.
You
But
know.
same thing with having unprotected sex with someone you're not married to. The risk is not worth the reward, but plenty of people do it.
Right. But I guess when you give like parts of your life away, like that's pretty much what you're doing when you do go to jail. It's like if you consider the years that are taken off of your life, it's like, do the years taken off of your life equate to the money that you're getting to maybe pay your bills, maybe buy shoes, maybe buy food? Is it worth it? You know?
Well,
And
when
you
you're
said that it's not, that you don't think it
it
is.
it's not, but at the same time, when you're young, you don't really think that way. Like you don't think in that idea.
Right. I asked one of my friends, one of my friends, he went to jail for robbing. He robbed a mini mart, a convenience store, and he got $200. So I asked him, was it worth it? At the time, it was, because when you don't have that $200, it's like a lot. What you can get is a lot. So I mean, do you think that in your case that was what it was? That because of what you didn't have, what you were getting was worth it?
Well, at the end of the day, like pretty much I grew up super poor. I grew up super poor. And a lot of the times for me to get extra shit was me having to have some sort of hustle. So even if when I was a little kid, I mowed every grass in the neighborhood to buy the shit that I wanted. When it came down to me getting older, when I had an opportunity to work, I worked. But like me, myself personally, I grew up around people that sold drugs. So like I seen motherfuckers going out and getting it. I also would get it from a job, and I'd get it from drugs, or I'd get it from playing cards, or I'd get it from mowing grass, or like I always was trying to figure out a way to get the things that I needed. And as I got older, I was already selling drugs and I was getting my extras. And then when I didn't have another opportunity, I just invested harder into that one thing. And once I was invested, I was addicted to the idea of the power and the perception people had of me, and the money. I was addicted to the money. And also, it's just like people that are on welfare. A lot of people that are on welfare, they don't strive harder because they know that they'll lose their welfare, and they don't see a way of being able to make enough money and not get food stamps. So I was in that same idea of being stagnant. If I stop selling drugs and work all the time, I'm still going to make less money. So I might as well just stay selling drugs.
Right. You know, you selling drugs says a lot about your work ethic, because it's not an easy thing to do. It's not an easy job. If you would have had the right role model, you probably would be running a company.
Yeah, like
you probably would be running a company.
Like, yeah, like that's 100% true. Like if I would have had, like when I sold drugs, like I had a trap that was in Ravenna, Ohio, and like it was me and my brother's trap, and the people came to my house. A trap is pretty much like it's a store. Like everyone comes there, people are in and out, all the drugs are there, and it's always serving nonstop. And everyone would wake up in the morning and come to my house, and all the drugs were left in my house. And it was my job to keep traffic. It was my job to keep traffic to a minimum, make sure the drugs, we didn't get robbed, make sure that I kept everything flowing. Those people had the people I sold drugs with, they had their clientele, they had their connects, they had their thing, but they'd leave everything at my house, and it was my job to make sure that I kept the spot not hot, that I didn't let us get robbed. Like I was operating and managing the overhead, like the overall thing, while they operated their portion of the business. And like there's been multiple times that I had to start over. Like I went from like my brother or my connect trying to cut me out of my clientele and me having to start back over. Like I have I'm good with numbers, and I'm good for making something and taking something and making it from nothing into something. And had I had more opportunities or been around the right people, I could have been a lot farther in life, but I chose to be around the people that I was with and do the things that I did. So I gained skills that I can use to run something, but I haven't had the opportunity to actually do something positive with it.
Yeah. So what's next for you? What's next for you? What are you going to do now? Because you're not doing that anymore. What are you going to do? Or what are you doing?
Well, I'm an electrician.
That's good. There's actually a lot of money in it. Are you doing smart homes?
No, I work for the union, so I work for somebody else.
Okay.
I work for somebody else, but as of right now, like I'm an electrician in the union. I wake up and go to work and do that. I do photography. I'm trying to get into the ability to be able to do like weddings and do ads, like do the photos of merchandise for companies. Like I'm trying to get into where I can make photography sustain me in a financial manner. I also am on YouTube giving my opinion and breaking down stuff and trying to monetize that in the future. So
I mean, smart homes is a big thing, man. You should look into smart homes. I'm invested in a startup here, and it's a lot of money in it. People want to be able to control everything in their house from their smartphone. Their air conditioner, their stove, everything. There's a big industry doing solar and smart homes. You're doing the electrical work. Why not? You know.
Well, like in the union. So when I was non-union, I did houses, and that's what the non-union company I worked for did. The union company I worked for, they don't do houses. They mainly do like hotels, hospitals, schools, business. They do a lot of business, a lot of commercial work. But I live paycheck to paycheck. Like between taxes and child support, I live paycheck to paycheck. So it's not. I don't have any sort of money to invest in any sort of startup or start doing smart houses or anything like that. So it's just not, that's not going to happen. The only way that's going to happen is if people hit that Cash App or hit my Patreon or, stuff like that. My income from work is pretty much set up for, I have about $500 to $600 of spendable money every month that I have to spend on food and gas and stuff because of the way taxes and child support fuck me.
Shit. Damn, man, that sucks. Well,
yeah, last year I made $42,000 last year, and I paid out $16,000 to the government. So I got to keep a total of $25,000 out of that $42,000, and then I have to pay medical bills on top of that for my son. So out of the $25,000, whatever medical bills come, I pay for those. And my rent's $450 a month. I live in the hood. My utilities are about $200 to $300 a month. I just got off probation, so I was paying probationary fees. I go for child support next month on my daughter, so whatever amount of money I had is about to get eaten up by that child support. So pretty much, I'm gonna be where I'm at until either I get some big sponsorships on the YouTube with that Cash App, or I start being able to monetize photography or get to a point where I can monetize my videos. But just based off my job, there isn't going to be that much growth that's going to end up happening with that.
Get that Cash App, people.
Yeah.
See, Hunter, I have a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
If
you don't mind, Savage Red, if you don't mind, I don't want to like hijack your shit. If you don't mind.
Oh, you guys could you guys could talk. I don't feel some kind of way about you guys talking. That's the point of the panel.
All right. Yeah, go ahead.
I was walking with you. I felt you when you said that black people didn't want to conform, but then you kind of lost me when you said someone like you wouldn't get a job over someone that's considered urban. And then you turned around and said, because thugs and them are too dumb to get those jobs.
No. Can I just say what the context was? So we were talking about. Yeah, we were talking about. First, we were talking about EEO hires for a person that's considered like me. I'm called like an Uncle Tom or whatever. When you go into like for example, a call center, when they need to hire for managers and it's a EEO hire, they will look at people that are more urban because they kind of fit that mold. I don't really fit that mold. We jumped to another type of job where that wasn't the case. And I said that wasn't the case because a lot of these type of people cannot really get those particular jobs. Those particular jobs have high requirements. They have IQ requirements. They have requirements for degrees. So you don't really have those particular issues in, for example, coding jobs that require a lot of math and analytics and logic. You don't have a lot of those particular hires in those jobs. That's what I was saying.
Well, are you speaking like in the U.S. as far as hiring practices?
Yes.
Because I've had a different experience. Like when I've had to have the EEOC hire, the token black hire, I typically get it just based on my elementary school. The name of my elementary school puts me above most other black people. My first and last name typically puts me above other black people because that's where the term token black comes from. Nobody really want no hood or urban person in their Fortune 500 environment. Typically, they don't.
Well,
there may be one or two that gets through the cracks.
Well, I'm sorry. Like my name is Corey. I have like a white person's name. If you don't mind, can I ask what your first name is?
Mark.
Your first name's Mark. Okay, Mark. Like, have you noticed that like your accent is a little bit different than mine? Your accent is more Southern. Like
Yes,
they would
it is.
choose you. Like if you and I worked in the call center, they would choose you over me, just because of how you speak. You fit the mold. No disrespect, but you do fit the mold.
I can agree with that. I don't sound hood, but I sound American.
You sound country.
Yeah, but
you got like the Mississippi pimp going.
I agree.
Country is American.
So guess what my people tell me all day, every day? I talk white, even with this country slang. Because I speak properly, I talk white, even with the country slang.
Right. But you know, for whatever reason, other black people really have a vitriol towards me because they think that I don't know, like I'm better than them or something. They think that I feel that I'm better just because of how I speak. This is how I was taught to speak. My mom was a tiger mom. My mom was very strict when she was alive. She was strict. My mom wouldn't let me speak with broken English. She wouldn't let me speak like slavery ended. My mom used to whoop my ass. You know, when I come in saying finna, fixing to, my mom would whoop my ass. So, you know, like I speak the way I speak and many blacks don't like it. Yeah.
I agree. I would get corrected. I don't know about the spankings, but are you from America? Are you from America?
Yeah. Yes, originally from Miami Beach.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a Caribbean mom. My mom's from Barbados.
Yeah, I'm about to say you could fool people because you have like a foreign type accent, and that may be where some of their bias comes from. They will lump you in with someone from Africa or from the Middle East because
what the hell? Seriously, Savage? Do I sound like I'm an African? You just said I sound like an African.
No, I said when they look at you and they hear how you speak, they will automatically think that you may be of some type of African descent. You said Caribbean, but they opted to the typical American black person. Come on, we have to not act like we don't know the stereotypes that go out. And we typically don't like the African people or the Afghanistan people because of what's been shown to them, just like they don't like us because of what's been shown to them in their country about it.
Right.
Well, to be honest, you don't have much of an accent, but you do kind of sound like you do have an accent, even though you really you don't to me, you don't, but I could see how someone could see that. Like, I'm not saying that you sound like you're from Africa and you just came here yesterday or something, but you do seem like you have some sort of different language back in your speech.
Right.
That's that Caribbean. He can't hide it, but it's not heavy, but he can't hide it either. But it's not a bad thing.
I guess you're right. That does make sense, you know.
Well, not just that, but I didn't speak like this before I got sober. I used all sorts of slang and ebonics and broken English before I got sober. It wasn't until I got sober that I started talking properly.
Right.
Because talking proper until I got out of my mom's house, and now I'm back to talking proper.
Yeah, when I was in the streets and I was committing crimes, I used a bunch of slang and broken English, and I didn't I'm also dyslexic, so my reading ability when I was in school, it was really hard for me to read because I read slower than other kids because I was dyslexic. So, long story short, I've always had some sort of broken English when I was speaking, but when I got older and I became sober, I still had a hood mentality and a hood speak. And the guys that I was around that were already sober told me that if you want to be a different person and you want to change your life, then you have to change everything about you but your name. You can't keep talking that way and acting that way and expect to get the results of being sober. So I stopped using broken English and slang. I started talking more properly, because if I acted a certain way, then I would grow into being that person.
Right.
Yep, I agree with that.
So I mean, you were talking about your Patreon. Do you have any special content on there?
I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I only have like one video on there. I really haven't been uploading a whole lot of content to it, because the only Patreon subscriber that I have is Nate Wind, and I can do special content for it, but I only have one subscriber. So it'd be me doing twice the work, and it wouldn't really matter, because if I'm going to do Patreon, I can do two things. I can make a video and then I can put it on Patreon and let people see it first, or I can make a video for YouTube and then make a separate video for Patreon that only people can see on Patreon, but there's only Nate on there. So like it doesn't make any sense to be doing that.
If you do it because you love it, the followers normally come. If you're doing it to make money, they're not going to come. That's what I hear all the time from these YouTubers. They say you have to do it because you love what you're doing.
You gotta say, well, that ain't true, because shit, everybody start out doing something when they're a kid that they love in hopes of making the money. That's what drives it. But Savage, yeah. I don't know what your deal with Tommy Lauren is, but I'm not gonna let you talk about that fine white woman. You stop it.
Well, so
I think she looks good, but she's a ditz, man. She's a dummy. I'm sorry. I like her. She looks good. I smash, but she is a dumbass.
I hope your wife's not the I hope she's a dummy. I hope you're not riding with your wife. I hope your wife's not shotgun.
Oh, hey, my wife loves my honesty.
I bet she does. I bet she's loves. Oh, yeah. I love to hear more about how you would smash that fine white woman. It makes me so happy that you're just so honest. You're so honest with me.
He didn't say it was smash. He just said she was fine.
But I would, man.
What did she say though?
Yeah. My wife's passed out in the passenger seat here. We're on the 9th hour of a 10-hour drive.
Okay.
Yeah, wow. She's passed out.
No, so like, listen, I really don't like. Obviously, everyone that's on YouTube is on YouTube for hopefully at some point in life making money from it. Like, I'm not going to say that I don't hope to gain money from making content, but at the same time, I'm not only doing it for money, because if that was the case, I have like 100 videos uploaded, and I've only been here for like 2 months, and I've spent way more money getting everything I need to be able to make videos than I've actually gained from YouTube. And with Patreon, the whole point of Patreon is to make money. Like, people have to pay to see it. So like, if I put 1,000 videos on there, any person that's going to see them is going to have to pay to see them. So like, that's the whole idea with Patreon, is about the money. Because if Patreon's not about the money, then I would just upload those videos to YouTube for free.
Right.
Start your OnlyFans, man.
Listen,
it's not just for women.
Listen, I made a video the other day, or today actually, where I said I think I'm gonna start a OnlyFans, and I'm just gonna sell penis pictures, and I'm gonna track how much money I make for 6 months. And I was like, I bet I'm not going to make any money for just having penis pictures on OnlyFans. But if I was a woman, I would be making a killing just having like pictures of my butthole and my vagina.
I think Andrew could make a lot of money on OnlyFans. It just depends on what you look like. I know dudes that have OnlyFans and all they do is show pictures of females' feet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
but
weird. It's weird what people like.
yes, but female's feet is still a female.
Hey, you know they poop on guys in Dubai too.
Out there pay to see your chest.
Oh, for
Hey,
sure.
they poop on niggas in Dubai too.
Yeah, but the
They'll
only
pay you to poop on you.
Who, the men or the women?
Poop on you.
Who, the men or the women?
The man. They'll pay to poop on you.
Yeah, but
the men. The niggas over there pay to poop on you.
The only time that you make money though, as a man, is from other men. Like there like the amount of man dollars that go for men is larger than females buying men. Like everyone wants to say there are, cougars and women that buy male hookers, but like that is far outweighed the amount of far outweighed by the amount of men that pay for women.
Right.
You're messing up, man. You need to come to Asia, man. I see a lot of these white dudes with some rich Thai girls.
Man, I'm about to give me a mail order bride in a minute. I've tried everything else. Shit.
Yeah. Hey, Rich over here is stupid rich, Rich over here is stupid rich.
I've been arguing with women all day about this damn Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion song. They think there's nothing wrong with it. They've said they've said stuff as stupid as y'all need to be mad at the men that are talking about robbing and killing. A little sex ain't never hurt nobody. I said, I agree. Robbing, those lyrics are bad. I said, but guess what? I said, sex produces STDs, abortion, infant mortality rates, single parent homes. I said, and it also produces these men with the lyrics that you just said suck and should be boycotted. And it produces the women too. I said, so a little sex never hurt nobody. You're right.
Well, you know what? It's men. It's our fault, man. If we didn't put so much value on trying to get laid, these women wouldn't have a job. You know what I mean? We value it a little bit too much.
I
agree to a certain extent, because I have to always tell people prostitution was in the Bible. They got stoned for doing it, but yet some still existed. So it's not.
That's because they had customers, man. That's because they had customers.
But it has always existed, but they haven't always been glorified. Now hoes are like happy to be hoes. That never used to be the case.
Look at Selena Powell. Yeah, look at her. She became famous for just hobgobbling bananas all the time.
Oh no, you're not talking about.
Right.
Is that Selena Powell? No, not Selena Powell. I know you're talking about. You're talking about the Thought. The Thought.
Yeah.
What's her name? I forgot her name.
That's her name, Selena Powell.
I probably just added her on IG the other day. Not gonna lie, I probably added her on IG the other day. But I
did a video of her today where she literally has a YouTube channel, and her actual video, like her series, is called Thoughts and Training. Like that's what she named it.
I saw that. I saw your video that said.
I seen it. I haven't watched it yet, but I seen it.
Yeah,
and like she literally says, I get men and women that hit my DMs that ask me how to be like me, and since I'm done with these rappers and football celebrities and these stars, I'm gonna pass the torch to people who deserve it. And like the amount of the sadness in society that you literally are telling people that all you have to do is suck and fuck men that have created something, and you just by taking loads, you will then become a celebrity, is sad.
Exactly.
Like that.
Don't you think it's retarded? Don't you think it's retarded that these guys have all this money, but they're all fucking the same women? I think it's retarded. You have all this money. You could get different women. You're all sharing.
Yeah.
It is, but at the same time, at least they know these women aren't just after them for their money, like the regular street person. I'm saying like somebody like Kylie Jenner. Kylie Jenner has been passed around just like most of the Kardashians. I would rather take a chance with a Kardashian than a random chick walking around the Memphis streets. If I got money.
That's true, but how did these women get their money? They got their money from sleeping around. They
Fucking
like
and
they
they're
got
sleeping. Yes, they're sleeping around, but they also had some type of business savvy to cash in on her because Kim made a
listen.
sex tape.
Listen.
You know, Kim only made one sex tape. After that, she became a business mogul.
Yeah, but you also have to remember. Hold on. So before the sex tape, her mom had a show, which her mom had a show because her mom was married to the guy that was part of the team that got O.J. Simpson off. So her father her father became famous, made money. Her mom cashed in on that. Then her mom married another famous guy who was an Olympian, and they cashed in off of that.
Bruce Jenner.
And then she was already on a show. She was already friends with celebrities, so her name was already out there. Then she was around celebrities, and she used that attraction of being around them to make a sex tape. To then also get married to a basketball player who she divorced, who she got money from. Then she became a mogul. There was a lot of steps of her.
She didn't get any money from the Chris Humphries guy. He actually tried to get us some money, but I agree with you. I feel what you're saying, but
listen,
as
you're not going to tell
someone like no, I agree with you, but I'm saying as opposed to someone like Blac Chyna, that's all Blac Chyna has ever offered is sex tapes and sex. At least Kim transitioned. I can give her credit for that. She started off with it. I can give Cardi B credit because even though she was a thought, she's married. And now that's just her job to be a thought. Like she talking about she don't cook and clean. That's because you and your husband have a fucking maid and a nanny.
Yeah, Savage. He's saying he respects her business acumen. That's what he's saying. He respects the business acumen.
But what I'm saying is the Kim Kardashian is the exact same woman as the woman on the street that wants your money. The only difference is the woman that you're going to meet at the gas station or on the street, she hasn't fucked her way to Kim's position to where now she doesn't need your money.
Right.
Like with Kim Kardashian, you're at the end, or when it comes to any of these others like Cardi B, you're at the end of her accession of coming up. The girl on the street is at the beginning of that. It's the same woman. It's just a different time.
The thing is, some women can evolve past the street shit, and some women just will always have that street mind. When Kim started out, she could have stayed in hoe mode and just sold porn tapes, but she decided to go into business. So I can commend her for that, as opposed to someone like Blac Chyna or the Suki Hunter chick that Tommy was playing the clip of that said, I got 3 kids and I made it. I got this far by sucking and fucking and shit like that. She has no interest in being anything other than a sex symbol.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but what I'm saying is regardless, even if you're a celebrity, you're still sharing the same women. Even if you're a broke motherfucker, you're still sharing.
Yeah.
Like if you walk down the street, and you meet some random normal woman, I'm guaranteed there's like 6 other dudes in the same neighborhood that you live in that's also had sex with that same broad. And just like if you look at Kim Kardashian or Blac Chyna, how many other celebrities than the guy they're with now has had sex with them? Same idea. Only difference is one's got money, one doesn't. That's the only difference.
Well, that's what he's talking about. So he's talking about how the chick was smart enough to keep her money, because a lot of these chicks that are sleeping around are broken. They have to keep doing it. Kim Kardashian made a sex tape, got her bread, and then married Kanye, and then she's done. She's richer than Kanye.
And became
she's richer than Kanye.
I don't think she's richer than Kanye.
Yes, she is. This is a fact. No. Let me tell you. I'll tell you what happened. You remember Kanye did his fashion line, right?
Yeah.
His fashion line bankrupted him. Kim Kardashian got that Android iOS game where little girls get to have a character and then they have to pay for clothes for the character, microtransactions. That bitch made like $5 million in like a week.
Yeah.
Little girls were using their mom's credit cards to buy clothes for their little avatar. She paid off Kanye's debt within like maybe a year. His debt was paid.
I understand
She has more
what
money
you're
than
saying. Yes, but he's also worth $3.6 billion now.
No,
I'm not sure.
I'm not talking about his liquidity. No, I'm not talking about his liquidity. I'm talking about his overall net worth. Her net worth is more. It's worth more.
I don't know. I don't know if that's true.
It is. The TV show. Well, remember the TV show, the reality show, the game, and the other business ventures that she has.
Yeah, because her marriage was.
She has quite a few business ventures. She's worth a lot more than him.
Okay, wait, guys, slow down.
Go ahead.
As of June 2020, Kim is estimated to be worth $900 million. Okay, so now we're gonna look at we're gonna look at now Kanye West.
He a billionaire by himself, shit.
No, he's not a billionaire. He's not a billionaire.
I'm saying
guys.
Okay, all right, come on.
Stop. I got facts right here.
All right.
We waiting on you.
What does it say?
As of right now, Kanye it says right here by Kanye, he is worth $1.3 billion. Kanye says he's worth $3.3 billion. So either way, if you go off what he says he's worth or what this says he's worth more money than she is.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, that's why I said I think Kylie Jenner has the most money out of all the Kardashians, and that's Bruce daughter.
Yeah.
I think
she did pay his debt. She did pay his debt for that business venture with the fashion line, though. That's a fact. You can look that up.
That was but that was $50 million. That was $50 million. That didn't put her. That wasn't a billion. Like that didn't put her richer than him.
He's worth the billion. That doesn't mean that he has $1 billion. You get what I'm saying? She had money. She could pay his debt. He couldn't pay his debt. He might be worth $1 billion. He might have a lot of assets, but the fact is, she had to pay his bills.
Stop.
Right?
The fact that he owed $50 million and she paid it off, just because that happened, he then was able to be worth more. He gained. He turned a bankruptcy into more. Trump filed bankruptcy how many times in the 90s? And now he's worth billions. It doesn't matter if you fall. It's what you do after your fall. And looking at the numbers right here, Kylie Jenner is worth $900 million.
No, not Kylie. Kim, man.
No.
Kylie is good. Oh, you
said Kylie too? You said Kylie.
Listen, Kim Kardashian, I just looked up, is worth $900 million. I just looked up Kylie Jenner, and she's also worth $900 million. I looked up Kanye, and he is worth $1.3 billion. Who is the richest? I'm going to list them.
That's a good bitch to have if she can give you $50 million when you go broke.
Listen,
right.
I'm looking right here at an article that says it literally says who is the richest one out of all the Kardashians. Who is the richest Kardashian? Kim Kardashian.
It's Kylie, right?
Kim Kardashian. Kim is worth $900 million. Kylie Jenner is just under $900 million. Khloe Kardashian's worth $40 million. Kris Jenner is worth $37.5 million. Kourtney is worth $35 million. And Kanye is worth more than all of them.
Yeah.
How much is Rob worth? Look Rob up.
Kim's paying his child support. I don't think he's worth much.
What the fuck happened with Rob? He just didn't have a hustler bone in his body. He fell for a thought.
Okay, so it says that Rob's net worth is at $10 million, the bulk of which comes from his appearances on the Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
Damn, Rob.
Still worth more than me, man. I gotta get to work. I gotta hustle.
Damn, Rob.
Shit.
Damn, Rob. Chloe and them don't do shit. They literally, I don't know. I say all of them folks, that's a hustling ass family. However they did it, I give them their props.
Yeah.
Their offspring don't have to do the same type tricks to get money.
Yeah. Yeah. Shoot, man. So I'm living in Thailand right now. I'm living in Thailand right now. Where are you guys located? What state?
I'm
Memphis,
in Cleveland.
Tennessee.
Tennessee, and you're in Cleveland, you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
Home of Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Yeah.
What you know about that, Savage Red?
I know that they used to live in a pretty dangerous part of Cleveland, and it's still dangerous now.
Damn.
You guys got to think, I was born in 89. So, like, I wasn't that old when, like, I know who Bone Thugs is. I've listened to Bone Thugs, like, First of the Month. Like, that's, you know, that's an infamous song.
Oh,
But,
Crossroads, too. Crossroads.
You
Well,
know,
they only had like 5 or 6 hits collectively. They did more individual stuff than they did collectively.
Yeah. Shoot, man.
but
So in
over here.
Thailand, are they doing any Black Lives Matter protests over there in Thailand?
yeah, they probably are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. Everywhere in the world, they're Asian too. Everybody looks the same. I don't know what they would be protesting.
How is police brutality over there?
The police are cool, man. They're corrupt. As long as you pay them their money when you fuck up, you know, you get caught driving without a license, you give them a little $15, they leave you alone.
Are you targeted because of your skin tone?
I'm targeted because I'm a foreigner. They think we're all rich. So everyone targets us, so you know.
That's everywhere we go. Even if we go home, if we go to Africa, it would be the same way because we're Americans. They think we're tourists.
Yeah.
They think we got money. We get kidnapped anywhere.
Yeah. Well, you know, Ghana is actually really nice. You know, if you had to move back to Africa, I think the best country would be Ghana. Ghana's really chill.
So I've been
and it's
here.
pretty developed. Yeah, it's pretty developed.
Listen, I would rather go to way other places than Africa.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, you know.
I want to do Abu Dhabi, Dubai, shit like
I'm
that.
not. I don't want to go to Dubai.
Why not? Dubai is the bomb, man. I've been there quite a few times. It's awesome.
I have no
Alcohol's
interest.
expensive as hell.
I have no interest.
Yeah. Oh, why not?
Why not? Come on.
What's the purpose of going there?
Why not? What's the purpose of going anywhere?
Hey, man. The dudes in the dudes in the UAE are cool, man. They party hard as hell. They can party.
I don't.
They be doing some wild shit. You don't party?
I don't party.
They be partying.
I'm 5 years sober.
What?
I'm 5 years sober. I don't party.
Well, they don't drink either. They're Muslim, but they still get down. They don't drink.
Yeah,
but they still get down.
Yeah,
what's your travel destination, Savage Red?
I don't have a travel destination. Like the only way that I would travel is if like I was flying around the country for like photography. Like if I had to go to another country to do a photo shoot, or if there was an actual purpose for me being there, then I'm cool. But like I'm not one for vacations. Like I don't see a point in spending money and taking time off work for no reason. Like I don't see that.
There's a reason to relax and see new stuff.
Let's just say you got the photo shoot of your dreams in the country of your dreams. Where would it be?
I'd love to see Ireland. Like I've never, I'm Irish.
I've been to Dublin. Dublin's really nice.
Well, I can understand that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like being a white American traveling around Europe and shit is dangerous as a motherfucker.
Yeah.
I think being an American traveling around anywhere is dangerous as fuck.
Exactly.
We're not the most liked people.
We're not, but also, like, you also like we're not liked, and I'm also white, so like all the anti-whiteness that's going on in society, like it's there's that problem too. So not only am I American, but I'm also a white American. So like,
Well, you should come to Asia. Then you don't really get that in Asia. They don't have problems with white people. Asia's
well,
really
let me
nice.
see. Let me see
Yeah.
if I can get a passport since I'm a convicted
Yeah.
felon.
You know what's really nice here though in Thailand, man. The temples. That some of these temples are hundreds of years old. They look beautiful, man. I'll send you some photos. I've taken many pictures. They got waterfalls.
I'm
all
amazed
type
at
of
Thailand just off the damn movie.
Yeah, it's actually a nice country, man. It's very developed, man. Like I just got home. I'll show you my place. Hold on, I'll show you my house.
Savage Red, refugees don't need passports, man.
Yeah, well, I have a white face, so I definitely have to have a passport. Like
Yeah.
that's not going to work out. I'm going to
Yeah.
stand out in China or in
I'm
Thailand.
seeking asylum. I'm seeking asylum. I'm being persecuted for being white in America. I can't take it anymore. Still let you go.
Yeah, it's not going to work out that way. I don't see other countries being like, "Oh, wait, you're white and you have a problem." Yeah, we'll take you. I see you as a refugee.
No. You know, many countries have visa on arrival. You know about visa on arrival? You just go, and they give you a visa at the airport.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, Thailand has visa on arrival.
Yeah,
Well,
you don't
let
need
me,
a passport to leave the country. You just need it to get into another country.
Right.
Well,
You get a passport. You come here. They'll give you a visa at the airport. They don't ask any questions.
Well, let me see. Hey, hopefully at some time in life I have the ability to get my guwap up and not have to, be able to travel out there and live like a king.
Yeah.
Hit that cash up, y'all. Hit that cash up.
Yeah, like that's the other thing. Like I don't even ask for donations and stuff like that because I don't think that I'm at the level of where I can even do that. I don't think that the amount of work that I've done has gotten to that point to where I can do that. So I don't like.
You have to
I'm
let
very
your supporters. You have to let your supporters decide that, though. I'm kind of the same way, but we're so hard on ourselves as men because we're not taught to enjoy the small victories, and we just always have to see the big shit. So we're kind of hard on ourselves, too. I repeat, when you and I did that interview on the 29th, you had like 213 subscribers. You passed me now, so you're doing something right. You're saying something right. So just keep at it, man.
You have a nice place.
Yeah, we moved in maybe 2 months ago.
Shit.
Yeah.
Listen,
damn,
bro.
look, my grass is dying.
Listen, bro. I've never, as a white American male, I've never lived in a house that had an in-ground pool. Not once.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's sunny. Beautiful Thailand.
Yeah.
I never got that. I'm like when they were handing out white privilege cards, like my family must have missed the line.
Oh, stop, man! Anybody can get a house in America, man.
No,
you get a home loan before you get a home loan before you get a car loan, man.
For sure not.
Yeah,
definitely not.
Yeah. Man, that's one of the biggest things going on in America, the damn home shit.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this, but I don't qualify for any minority loans, so it's 100% based off my credit.
What the hell are you talking about? I don't qualify for them. I didn't even know there was any minority loans. You just educated me on something.
There is.
I didn't know that.
That's why he said his only thing is credit. And if he doesn't have the credit, he can't get the house.
Yeah, because I'm a white male.
Yeah.
We gotta buy shit cash.
Yeah.
I gotta put down big cash payments with my fucked up credit and pay a lot of interest.
Oh damn! So you're one of those white people, huh? You're one of them bad credit white people.
I had good credit at one point, but then child support and the court system with family court fucked that up.
Yeah.
Like
But
before
I'm glad he's able to tell his story because people seem to think all white people have money and good credit, and all the white people, if you are poor, they reach a hand out and help pull you up.
So I'll put you like this. So prior to me going to family court, I had enough credit to where I could walk in and put $2,000 down on a car, and they approved me for a loan, and I signed my name and got a loan. As of right now, since going back and forth through family court, my credit is so bad because of the cost of family court and child support and all these things. And I'm not going to say that I made all the best decisions or anything at that time either. But long story short, I now have to have someone to co-sign. And do you know who would you think in a person's life would co-sign for them? Who do you think that would be?
Parents.
Definitely not your parents because they've never done that for me.
And guess who won't co-sign? My parents.
Why won't they?
Mine either.
My parents don't have good credit. So like this idea that white people just have good credit, that's not the case. Now my grandparents have good credit, but they won't co-sign for me because they're on a fixed income. So they don't do that.
Well, like I said, man, it's not racism, it's classism. You know, we have different classes of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Growing up, I came from a poor family too. You know, but I had my dad, and that's an advantage that I had over most people. You could say that was my privilege, I guess. I had a dad, and my dad was strict. You know, my dad didn't let me run around in the street. My dad made me study. You know.
Yeah, and not to say anything bad about my grandparents or my parents, but I'm not mad at them or they're not doing me dirty or anything. But I'm just saying, like, there's a big idea that the reason that black people are held behind is because they don't get to accumulate generational wealth that white people have. And
all of that's a bunch of bullshit. Those stories are bullshit.
That's not true. It's not true. Like my grandparents have a decent living because my grandfather went to GM. He moved from West Virginia to Ohio because there were jobs in Ohio, and West Virginia is poor. So they uprooted their family. He uprooted his family and moved to where there was work, and then he got a job in a union, and he worked until he could retire, and then he retired. My grandmother, she moved with him, and she worked at Sophers, and she worked there until she retired, and bada bing, they bought a house in the 70s, and bada bing, they've lived in the same house that whole time. Like my grandma and my grandpa they've lived in the same place that my whole life. And my other grandfather, he was from West Virginia. He moved to Ohio. He worked at Chrysler. He worked there until he retired. My aunt and uncle, they went to college. My uncle started a business. He had like 5 years of it being rough. They were broke. They needed help from my grandparents. My grandparents helped them because they had kids. So they helped them. And then his business took off. And then from there, he was able to go from that business to buying a stable, and he has a farm to where now he trains and stables horses. He has a gas line business, and he was able to take the money from one business to buy another business, and from those businesses to buy a bar. And now he has 3 businesses that he's in charge of, and he did that by taking a risk and saving money and sacrificing to get that. Like that. None of these people were born rich. My grandparents have like fucking 7 or 8 or 12 brothers and sisters each. They all are from fucking West Virginia, which is poor as shit. And they moved away from West Virginia where there weren't jobs to somewhere that there was. And they did what they had to do. Like, that's what most white people do. Like, that's what it is.
Yeah, the hard work story isn't told. It's not told. Those type stories aren't told.
Right.
Just like my sister. My sister's better off than I am. My sister, she's 21 months younger than I am. She went to college. She didn't do none of the fuck shit that I was doing. She wasn't a huge she wasn't some super whore. She dated some guys. She ended up finding her husband. Her husband's 9 years older than she is. He's an ex-Marine. He was working in on an oil rig, working fucking 24, 48-hour shifts, making good money because he was at a dangerous job, working crazy shifts. He ended up going from that job. The oil industry before Trump started to take a decline. His business closed. They sold all the property. He came back to Ohio because he would go work for like 2 weeks or 28 days there and then be back for 3 weeks. And he was constantly driving or flying hours, like multiple states away. He worked down in the Texas area and he lived in Ohio, and him and my sister were married. When that business closed, he came back to Ohio and he took a job making like $16 or $17 an hour doing tree work. He worked there for 2-3 years. They sent him to school to be a crane operator. He worked as a crane operator for Davey Tree for a year or two. And then he went from there and applied to be a crane operator for the IBW in Columbus. He makes like $40-some an hour or whatnot. And now he makes good money. And my sister worked for Huntington Bank. She went to school, got a degree, started working in the banking industry, went back to school for a different degree, and then she was making like $80,000 or $70,000 a year. And it was all from the decisions and the work that they did. It wasn't like me and my sister grew up in the exact same house. I'm more of my problems is I have a hard head and I like to make bad decisions, and I like the hard road, and that's where I'm at. I'm only 5 years sober, and I'm still dealing with like court costs and probation fees and like state fines from getting my license suspended and all that bullshit. Like I'm still dealing with all the wreckage of my past. And while I was doing that, I had kids. And once I had kids, like, I just put myself on that hamster wheel to stay in the same place.
Yeah, I know all too well about that, man. I know many people who have done that, So my dad had 3 kids from his first marriage, man. When he met my mom, child support was ridiculous. 3 kids, and then he has to take care of 2 kids with the woman that he's married to currently. It's like insane.
That's what my stepdad did. My stepdad divorced his wife. He had 2 children. Not only did he have 2 children, he was paying child support for them, and then he was taking care of me and my sister.
Damn.
Like, but growing up, like I knew that he paid child support, but I didn't know like how bad it was. Like I didn't know how bad the wolf bite was until I was dumb and got bit by the wolf. And once that wolf got a hold of me, I then realized how bad the system is.
Yeah, well, like me and my wife, we're discussing kids now. My wife wants some kids, and the thought of having kids kind of scares me, especially the way the world is now. I'm fucking terrified.
That's a horrible excuse.
Foundation. Y'all at least y'all are trying to plan a kid, so y'all would be fine.
Yeah,
Yeah, the idea of it's a bad world.
Well, I mean, everyone's so divided, and it's not as safe as it used to be,
It was a bad world when you were born.
Oh yeah, man. I lived in Japan. I lived in Japan for 4 years, and I see little kids, 5 years old, walking to school by themselves. You can't do that shit in America.
But it happens. Believe it or not, it happens in neighborhoods everywhere.
Yeah, but this is what I want you to understand. The time that we live in right now is safer than it was fucking 100 years ago. It was safer than 200 years ago. If you're going to tell me during the Middle Ages when you could just die from lack of nutrition, or you could just, people didn't live past 30. If they would have had this same idea of, oh, well, the world's pretty shitty right now. I might not have children. I want to bring them up into this fucked up place. Me and you might not be here.
That's true.
Just think about it. In the Westerns, you never see a doctor stitching up somebody after a duel at high noon. They just died. They never that person never survived or recovered, even though they always took body shots.
Yeah, that's true. They got
He's
infections
right.
and shit. But you know, like a lot of other things. Like I'm an atheist, so I don't believe in life after death. So I believe that when you bring a kid into this world, you kind of doom them to not exist. You know what I mean?
I'm an atheist.
What?
I don't agree with that at all.
What do you mean? You doomed them to not exist. They'll die, man. That's like the worst thing that can happen to you. You don't exist anymore.
Everything dies.
Atheists believe in reincarnation. Don't you believe in reincarnation?
Oh no, that's Buddhism. That's not atheism.
Well, I mean, it still goes into some of this. Okay, so you don't believe in reincarnation? Well, do you believe that energy can neither be created nor destroyed?
Yeah, I believe in that. You know, I actually have a theory about that. If you guys want to hear it, right quick.
Well, there you go. Then.
So here's what I believe in. Many people think I'm crazy for this shit. I believe that science teaches us that everything is composed of atoms, and atoms arrange themselves to make different things. They make different elements, and they make complex things like humans. So I believe that maybe in a couple billion or trillion years from now, everything will assemble the way that it was, and we'll probably be back here having the same conversation. Maybe Savage Red will have tits instead.
Listen, if I had
tits, reincarnation, my good man. That's reincarnation. That's just you coming back in a different form.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you right now. If I had tits, I would not be mad.
I wouldn't. You know what? I wouldn't be upset if I came back as a female. Knowing what I know about what females do and the power they have, I think I would come back.
Well,
I wouldn't complain.
Shit, man. I love being a man. I hope that I come back again as a dude. I love it.
I would love to come back as the new Jeff Bezos' wife. What the fuck?
Man, I don't know.
She got divorced and got broke off with $38 billion. What the fuck?
Yeah, but you know the thing about guys is, a man gets to fuck things, but when you're a woman, you get fucked. I think that's a shitty end of the stick.
Well, that's because you're a male. That's why you see that. You're wired to feel that way.
Yeah. I guess, yeah. Makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, because females enjoy it. They love the feeling of taking it. That's why they do it so much. And let them tell it they run the world.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Well, shit, man. I'm going to get out of here and get my drink on, man. I'm home now. I'm going to drink and probably smoke a J and head to bed. Man.
Weed's legal in Thailand?
Medical marijuana is, yeah, man. Hey, do you know how to grow?
No.
Oh, so if you did, you can make some money here, man, because they're talking about opening it up and making it fully legal because they want to export. And, you know, Thais don't know how to grow. They don't know the whole hydroponics thing. They don't know the techniques.
Well, listen, I could learn. Like I can learn.
Yeah. Yeah, my wife's father is a farmer, and you know he's experimenting with it. He's trying to grow. He knows nothing about it, but you know, I told him they have weed food and hydroponics, so I'm gonna help him do a hydroponics setup, and then he'll play around with it and see if he can make some good bud.
Hey man, give me
summer all year long.
So it's like moist. Is it moist? Is it dry?
Yeah. Well, I live in a beach town. I don't live in Bangkok, so it's a bit humid. You go up north to the farm area, it's that dry heat like Oklahoma.
Humidity is good. That means there's always moisture in there.
Yeah, it's true.
So listen, you give me like a year, 2, 3 years, all right? Hopefully this YouTube photography thing pops off in that time. And I might buy the house next door to you and have fucking weed plants as big as trees in the backyard. All right.
All right, bet, man. Let me know. Yeah. All right, man. All right, man. I'm out of here.
All right, man. Later.
Thank you for having me.
My pods are going dead as well. But you leave that Tommy Lauren alone now. You hear? She ain't did nothing to nobody.
Yeah, she did. She sat there and talked about how men are trash.
I mean, she to her defense, I don't know what she said, but she just picked trash men. It's kind of like when a man says women ain't shit because we've always dealt with ain't shit women.
Yeah, but here's the difference. She was engaged to a man that was famous, who's running for Congress, who's a soccer player, and bought her a $50,000 ring. So if he's such trash, why did you say I'd marry you?
Yeah, she was just scorned. She's just scorned. But yeah, I started. I was like, let me stand up for Tommy's honor. That's a fine young lady there. That she is on my to meet list.
Listen, bro, quit white knighting around here for Tommy. All right.
Just this one time. Just this one time. I will put on my cape for her. Cape for
listen,
her.
I'm telling you right now, it doesn't matter how big that cape is. You ain't gonna fuck. All right. That's not. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how you shield your body with all these bullets I'm shooting at her. You still ain't gonna fuck. So let's.
Well, I don't know, man. Tommy knows that if I get big enough, he could hook me up.
Yeah, but you haven't. Tommy does know her, but you see that she hasn't been on Tommy's show in years, right?
Well, that's because Tommy. A lot of people can't associate with Tommy. I understand why. Yeah, I personally don't agree with it. If I rock with you, I rock with you publicly, but I understand why some people can't. They would rather support them silently and financially than publicly. And if you're willing to support me financially but not publicly, I'm cool with that too.
Well, listen, I totally understand that, but let's really talk about something that's great. Just think how many celebrities or how many people that we see that Tommy is able to get in contact with. Think about how much pull this man has from YouTube. That's crazy.
It is.
Tommy got on a fender bender today.
Yeah, I saw. And I told him he always cussing somebody out. But him and the guy, he apologized and him and the guy were making amends. I'm like, you stay cussing somebody out.
That's crazy. He got on a fender bender.
And then his first one, as he said, he was making jokes about it afterwards. Then his first one, once he found out the other guy had insurance, everything else was okay. It's like, okay, it's cars. You all right? I'm all right. You can't pay for this, right? Good deal. But yeah, just the pull that he has off the internet, man, lets you know that it lets you know how small the world is and how it's easy to access people. Like getting interviews with people is easy. You just got to go through being told 1,000 no's before someone says yes. But you can go on Twitter and DM someone like that.
Oh, I just lost a subscriber. I just went from 248 to 249. I just upset somebody.
It happens. It'll probably be back. And sometimes it'll be an accident.
It is what it is. But I'm happy that I have as many subscribers as I have because I never saw myself growing this quickly. Like, even though it's been 2 or 3 months to have almost 250 subscribers, to me is crazy. But yeah, hopefully
almost 50 within a couple of days.
Yeah, I'm hoping that I get some more growth going on. I know that's going to be hard because I cuss a lot, and I talk about stuff that's not necessarily good for the old algorithm. So we'll see how it goes in the future.
I know you saw the drill music expose just like me. They cuss a lot as well. So if they're able to get people with their cussing and their music, we can achieve the same heights.
Yeah, but
I have the same battle as you, except for I'm black and I'm called a coon and a sellout and a self-hater.
I get called a crackhead and a wigger and a racist.
Yeah, we have our same battle. Tommy gets called the same thing and worse.
Just think about it. How can I be a wigger and a racist at the same time?
Because you're just hanging around the black people because you think it's cool, but you really don't like them. You're just around to be a culture vulture. That's what they say.
Well, that's
People,
true.
people don't even care. They just say shit. Like some of the stuff I heard was completely ridiculous today. I was like, name a man that made a song just talking about his dick solely. Just the whole song is about dick. And someone said, Luke in the 2 Live Crew. I said, ma'am, their hit song was Pop That Pussy. They were not talking about their dick. And I said, also, they were criticized and they were banned. So why would you even say that? It's like women cannot be criticized. Like men have been getting criticized for their misogynist lyrics and y'all saying we're portraying women as hoes and all of that. But then when the female rapper does it the exact same way, if there's no men in this new video everybody's talking about, just women shaking their ass, it's okay.
Okay, so listen to this fuck shit right here. So if you look at MK, if you look in the chat at what she just said, all right? She said the word honky. YouTube will not let me type that word. It is censoring me say it, even though it accepted her saying it.
It wouldn't let me say white power or something other. It wouldn't let me say white people or white power the other day on Tommy's channel. YouTube is crazy. Facebook won't let you type in white power either.
Yeah, but I can understand them not letting I can understand them not letting people say words. I don't agree with censorship, but with this idea of logic here. She just said
wouldn't
honky.
The white guy be able to say, yeah, wouldn't the white guy be able to say honky and not the black person?
Like she just said honky, and like as the creator, like this is my live stream. I can't say the word she said in the chat, but somehow YouTube thought it was okay for her to say. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but I just don't get how like I'm censored and someone else in the chat can say it. Like how? Yeah. What is that?
A viewer isn't, but the creator is.
Yeah. How does? And my shit's not even monetized. Like my shit doesn't get ads. Like my shit's not. It's true, MK. You do got that open privilege. That's true. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. I will concede.
MK, hit the link. Have a conversation with the man.
Yeah, come on up here, MK. Come shoot the shit with me. Come shoot the shit with us.
Savage and I had a whole episode where we did nothing but argue towards the end of it. It's okay to disagree. Here I am again.
Oh no, I be flirting with her in the comments. Like I'd be flirting hard, but no, she's white.
Oh, okay.
She's white, but the way that you would throw that cape on. The way you would throw that cape on for Tommy Lauren, I throw that cape on in the comments a lot. A lot.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with caping up sometimes.
Come on, MK, don't be scared.
Tommy can't mess up too many times, though.
Don't be scared, MK. You don't have to show. You don't have to be on camera. You know, I just want to hear you talk.
Don't you see my avatar?
Yeah, he just has a picture. He just has a picture. Listen, if I'm gonna fly out west, to see you at some point in life, you're gonna if that happens, you're gonna see me. So what's any different than you seeing me on the internet or talking to me on the internet?
There's your photo shoot, buddy.
You don't need to be scared. Tomorrow. Oh, so you want to? That's fair. I'll let you put yourself together. You know, put your best foot forward. Even though, like, all I do is shower and put a shirt on and talk to a camera.
My pods are going out though. Thanks for having me in again, dude. Keep up the good work. Y'all hit
No
that
problem,
cash
bud.
app, David Red Recovery. And if you feel like it, subscribe to my YouTube channel at Moneyboy Trey. Thank y'all. Have a good one.
I'll see you later, bud.
All right.
So I did just upload a video to my second channel, showing some of my first photos that I took on that on my camera, and I'm going to be doing another video showing the progression of my photography over time. Obviously, anybody that isn't following me on Instagram, you can go and see the same progression, just not in a video form. But I ended up talking to a lawyer yesterday, and the retainer for a lawyer is going to be $2,000. $2,000. So that's going to be fun. That's going to be fun here in the next 3-4 weeks. Yeah, can't wait for that. It's going to be like getting my fingernails pulled out. It's going to be all fun and games. So what are you guys doing for the rest of the night? Because actually, I'm actually cooking right now as we speak. I got some stuff in the slow cooker. I'm sure the stuff's not done yet. Oh, yeah. They love doing this. They love taking my money. I'll be honest with you. I've paid for lawyers a lot in my life, and it really has never benefited me. It's really never benefited me. I've never gotten away. Yeah, I've never gotten off on a case because of the lawyer that I had. I've never not done jail time because of a lawyer that I've had. I've never gotten better treatment in family court because of a lawyer that I have. Literally, it really doesn't. It really has never benefited me. The only reason that I end up paying for a lawyer is because I don't have the time to do the research or the desire to figure out how to file the court paperwork and to actually reference the legal arguments in a court setting. But I'm actually making some shredded chicken in the old slow cooker right now. That's gonna be pretty delicious later. Because not only am I a white guy with face tats, but I'm also a white guy with face tats that actually can cook. I don't like to cook very often for myself because of time and being lazy and stuff like that, but I can actually cook. I do enjoy the old cooking from time to time. So what are you guys doing for the rest of your night? I'm going to end up doing I'm making tacos. I'm making them into tacos, so it's going to be rice and beans and salsa and taco sauce and tortillas. I love cooking a nice steak. I love cooking a nice steak. Do you know the best type of food that I like is food that I don't have to cook? That's a shout out to MK. I'm just, giving you a little tip. Yeah, I'm doing some cultural appropriation by eating. Yeah, I think I had a few more topics that I wanted to end up doing. There was a few more topics that I was going to make videos on today. I actually didn't plan on being online for 3 hours of this live like this. I'm not going to get off yet. Actually, I think 10 people watching this right now is the biggest audience I've had at one time. 11. This is the biggest group of people I've had in at one time. So I'm going to stay in with you guys. But earlier I had planned on being on here for an hour or so, getting off, doing a couple things, and then getting back on. Did you guys end up seeing what was going on out of China, that article that I did with the bubonic plague? Shout out to Nate for sending me that article. Yeah, so the title of this is actually with sarcasm. I did a video on Tomi Lahren earlier, and she was talking about men are trash, and I talked about that in the beginning, about how, you know, men are the plague of society, and it was pretty much just a bit of bitching about Tomi Lahren and complaining. And then people came onto the panel and it changed. But there's really nothing wrong with men. Like, I'm not saying that men are perfect or anything, but it was yeah, I seen that, Nate. Another video that I was going to end up making was about let me see, there's a few topics that I got on that I've got saved. Let me switch accounts and go over and look at my saved topics. There was another video on there's a video on Kathy Areu, Areu, I think how you pronounce it. She made an allegation against someone as she made a video, an allegation about being sexually assaulted by Tucker Carlson that I wanted to do a video on. And also I wanted to do a video on, where is it? Not liked videos. Let's watch later. I guess I gotta go back to the other one. Give me a second, guys. I apologize. Okay, so then there's a video I was going to do on. There's a video that I was going to do reaction on the mixed baby fetish and misogyny in rap, TikTok, and society. Those were two things that I was going to do a little touchy roo on. Yeah, that's exactly what I ended up saying in my video with Tomi Lahren, and also Casual Bachelor channel. You're 100% right. Yeah, that's a lot of the problem. A lot of the problem is people don't realize what they lack, and they're unwilling to listen to criticism, and most people are willing to blame other people than do some self-reflecting. Like, the problems that I have with my kids' moms are clearly, I play a role in that. Me being in the child support system, I play a role in that. Like, every problem that we end up encounter in our lives is in some form or fashion self-made. So I don't think that there is misogyny in TikTok, but there's a video of another YouTuber that they said that there's misogyny in rap and TikTok and society. And I'm going to take their video and do like react and rebut the points. Like if you go on like in my watch list or my like my my video list, I have videos that I have that either I kept so that I could remember something like a technique for photography or a certain microphone to get in the future, or videos that I want to react to that I have saved as a watch list for me for the future. Yeah, I don't specifically remember exactly how she thinks that there's misogyny in TikTok, but I wanted to at least put, give my view. No, I would not legalize all drugs. I don't believe in all drugs should be legal. I completely understand the argument that, it's your body. You have the right to put whatever you want in your body. The government shouldn't tell you that. But at the same time, when it comes to society, you can't have a reasonable argument why people should be allowed to do heroin, because like that is okay in California. You can openly do drugs in the open, and society in California where they're allowed to shoot heroin on the street has become it's deteriorating. Any place where they allow hard drugs to be used in America, the culture just deteriorates. I really don't care either way about prostitution being legal. Yeah, you can't. You can't agree with protected classes. And also, like, as a drug user, like when I was using drugs, it was completely, to me, made sense in my head. Like, yeah, we should just legalize drugs. People shouldn't go to jail for it, blah, blah, blah. But after getting sober and getting out of it and seeing with a clear mind, well, here's the problem. Here's the problem with heroin. When you do heroin, it takes your soul and you become physically addicted within 3 to 4 days. Like if you do it for 3 or 4 days consistently, you become addicted to it. And the problem is the way that addiction works is even if it's legal and it's cheap, your habit is still going to grow. So unless you feel it's all right for the government to subsidize drugs so people don't have to pay for drugs, they can just do as much drugs as they want, you're not going to be able to make legalized heroin work in a sense that it's going to not have some form of crime. And on top of it, if you're going to make it to where people can legally do drugs, people are still going to overdose. Like there is still damage to your organs from doing heroin. And if you want to have socialized medicine, you're not going to be able to also make something legal and then on top of it subsidize it and then make other people pay for it. Like there's too much pain going on. And to the rule that, but they do it anyways. Yes, murder is illegal and people still murder. Does that mean that we should make murder legal? It's illegal to touch children, but people still do it. So should there not be a law? Like, should we just say it's legal to do stuff to children? Like, just because people do things against the law does not mean the law shouldn't exist. It just means that law needs to be more enforced. Blake, it's not from a skewed perspective because people choose drugs knowing that drugs are bad and they're illegal. Like, you can't tell me that normal, rational people wouldn't do drugs, and my perception is skewed when people do drugs. Okay, so Blake, if you're going to make the argument that when the conscious of people and behaviors are focused on the individual and clear, they change their perspective for their behavior. If that's true, then you don't need to make drugs legal, because you could still change people's perception and behavior and focus. Yeah, but my sister grew up in the exact same situation I grew up in, and she did the opposite. She had the right mind to make a better decision than I did, and I had a decision to make the bad decision. We grew up in the same household, had the same parents, and we went two totally different ways. If you're making an argument on the fact that heroin and drugs should be legal, and by changing people's perception, they won't choose the legal drugs, then why not change their perception and not make the drugs legal? Because if you make things legal and let people do it, then more people are going to do it. Well, what may or may not happen to my sister as a child has no relevance to this conversation. And if she was or if she wasn't, me saying that on YouTube wouldn't be my place. But the fact of it is I can tell you that we both came from the same household and we experienced the same things, and she decided to choose a different path. But that's you. But that's you. Are you going to tell me? So are you going to tell me that there aren't a bunch of drug addicts in California? You're going to tell me that San Diego, where they allow you to shoot heroin in the open and they have needle exchanges, you're going to tell me that there isn't a sea of needles in California? Yes, it does. It does. Just like shaming deters people's behavior. Listen, guys, I know people that are in their 50s and 60s that were against drugs their entire life, and they decided because they could get medical marijuana that they started smoking so that they didn't have to take the painkillers for their back injury, and they started smoking weed, and the only reason that they were open to it was because it was legal and they could get it, and they had been against drugs their entire life. If you say that heroin's legal, then you're still subsidizing it. You're still going to subsidize it because you are pushing it in a sense to hold to like yes, but they had a back injury. That's the only time that they ever did drugs was they had to take painkillers from their doctor because they had herniated discs, and they never smoked weed in their life. And in their 60s, they started smoking weed because they could get medical marijuana. I'm not arguing that the weed is better or worse than the painkillers. But what I'm telling you is a person that's against drugs, that I know people that are personally against drugs that only ever took drugs that were legally prescribed to them, such as painkillers. They did painkillers. They didn't ever smoke weed in their life. They never did coke in their life. They never did crack. The only drug they ever did was painkillers because it was legal and it was given to them by their doctor. Never smoking weed in their life in their 60s, Ohio passed medical marijuana laws. They now smoke weed. Like, if you tell people that they can do something, more people are going to do it. Yeah, you're not going to tell me that, like, you're not going to. Okay, so if that's the case, then why change the policy when it comes to knees on the back of people in custody's neck? If with your same idea, you wouldn't have to make it illegal for people not to do it. People would be able to make a moral and just equation to not do it. But again, regardless, like, listen, this is what you guys are trying to split hairs. This is a fact. I'm not arguing if something is better or worse, and I'm not arguing if medical and recreational are different. But the fact of it is, before medical marijuana, weed was illegal, correct? By making medical marijuana legal, that you could have medical marijuana if you fit a criteria, that would become legal, right? So then that would never smoke weed started getting medical marijuana licenses to smoke weed because now it was legal and it was considered to be a medicine, correct? Everyone benefits from anything being legal or illegal. Like, that's not a good argument. That's like saying you're only on YouTube for money. You're only on YouTube making videos for attention. The whole idea of making videos is for money and attention. Like, everyone does something with the benefit of being able to monetize it or it grow in the future. I think Trump's going to end up making weed legal on a federal level. Yes, they will. For sure. Yeah, but again, Fox News, there's all of the that's true. Yeah, but as you can see, Trump just went against Big Pharma. Like that's not a good argument. And also Fox News, all the media companies are owned by six companies. So Fox News really isn't that much different than the other companies. They just have a Republican leaning. Like the people that own Fox own left wing media companies as well. And Trump has been fighting against Big Pharma this whole time. He passed that law, the right to choose, the ability to be able to try drugs that are not FDA approved if it gives you a chance of being able to save your life. If you look at him just passing the pharmaceutical bill where we're going to be buying pills from outside the country and importing them in for a cheaper price, he just said that Big Pharma is mad at him. Like, what you have to understand is Trump is doing what's good for the people. He's not doing what's good for the businesses. That's exactly what Fox is. And again, the reason the Arkansas bill was trash was because people voted it in. People voted a shit bill in. If you guys didn't like the bill, you should have voted it down. Well, if anyone wants to come onto the panel, or if anyone wants to talk about any certain thing, I see MK dipped out. I'm not sure who's all watching besides the three that are constantly the three or four of you that are commenting. If any of you guys want to come up here real quick, that's cool. If not, that's fine. I need to go down to the corner store and yeah, I need to go down to the corner store and there's a couple things I gotta do. I gotta check my food. Well, it's in the slow cooker, so it's not like I'm smoking cigarettes. I smoke Maverick menthols. Kings, not 100s. I also have to piss like a racehorse. Like, I have to absolutely piss like a racehorse. I've literally been holding it for a minute. But if anyone wants to come up here, you're more than welcome to come up here. If not, if you guys have something you want to talk about, we can. And if there's not something you guys want to talk about, I'm going to end the stream and I'm going to go back to getting a couple things behind the scenes settled, then come back. But I'll stay on if there's something you guys would like to talk about or. Okay, let me go. Did you send it to me in my email or did you send it to me on Patreon? Okay, so you sent it to me on Patreon. Let me go check it. Okay, so Blake, when you're asking me if I ever got into white supremacy or Aryan Brotherhood stuff, do you mean did I follow or agree with the ideology, or have I ever talked on the topic? Because talking about the topic and following the ideology or classifying myself as one is a different thing. So clarify your question for me. No, I never agreed with or followed that ideology. I actually, like my third or fourth tattoo was an anti-swastika. So I never agreed with it. I had girls that I dated that were not white when I was in elementary school and middle school and high school. So I've never followed that ideology. I've never agreed with it. I never was fascinated by it like that. None of those things ever went hand in hand. Now, Nate, when it comes to the video that you sent me, yeah, so I think that he did make enemies in the pharmaceutical industry, and I also think that he was just hinting to the fact that he's not going to be around for a while because things that are going on with the deep state and with the cabal I think that things are going to be ramping up when it comes to like the indictments and Durham's case and all that stuff. I think that things are about to start to get hot. So he's going to go into hiding on Air Force One to make sure he's protected so they don't try to kill him because they would like him to be dead. And I think that instead of coming out and saying that he's got enemies besides the pharmaceutical companies, he just said the pharmaceutical companies because he just passed that bill and he could say, I passed this bill. People are mad at me, want me dead. I'm going to go hide. Yes, I've looked into Operation Northwood's proposal. Yes, I've definitely looked into some of the government operations. Things are definitely about to heat up. Things are definitely going to get interesting. Yeah, no. He also died a month after he spoke about there being secret societies trying to infiltrate the government, and instead of invasion, they're doing subversion. He also wanted to make a debt-free dollar, and they killed him. And I don't know if you know this, but Trump was friends with John F. Kennedy Jr. It's possible. It is possible, but also, I think he was on steroids because he did have like a bad back or something, and like one of the things that he was being treated for, one of the things like he was hurt in war, he had a back injury. One of the things that they were doing would give him a side effect would be an overly active sex drive. So it is possible that he did have a lot of sex because he was taking a medication that was a side effect. It's possible. Who knows? They could have also tried to smear him because they didn't want him to be considered a great president because he went against the he didn't go with the plan. It's very possible. Just like they're trying to smear Trump's. Yeah, like they're also trying to smear Trump. It could be the same idea that they could be doing the same thing to Trump that they were doing to John F. K. Maybe during time of John F. Kennedy, it was a lot easier to get to a president than it is now. Like maybe they just don't have the ability to get to him. I don't know exactly why the tactics are what they are, but I could totally believe that they could have been trying to smear him because he didn't go with the plan. I'm not that doesn't sound crazy to me. Doesn't sound crazy at all. Yeah, that's definitely why. He's insulating himself as much as he can because they've made multiple attempts on his life. One of his Secret Service guys died in Scotland. His food tester died. Yeah, he can't. He can't say stuff like that publicly. there's a lot of stuff that they don't want him to talk about, and there's a lot of stuff that he can't say. But as time goes on, he drips out more information and says more stuff. Like a month ago or a few weeks ago, he talked about Obama doing treason. He couldn't have talked about treason right when he had the Russia investigation going. He couldn't. Like, they're still trying to push the narrative that that he's Putin's puppet and shit. And like, yeah, every time that he says anything, they say that he's crazy, unhinged, or a liar. And they're trying to say he's lied 26,000 times since he's been president or some shit. Like, they're just trying to muddy the water as much as they possibly can because they know it's coming. They know it's coming. If you look at the reports of when they had attorney William Barr go in front of Congress, after 5 hours of them just like being dicks, they finally asked, when was Durham's report coming out? And after Durham's report coming out, they said, don't you think that will affect the election? Like, that's all they're worried about. That's literally all they're worried about. But all right, guys, I am going to go get off here and buy a pack of cigarettes and check on my food and see what's going on with my food. I will be back later with another live stream or with more videos. If you guys like to support my work, you guys can always follow me at Instagram at savage_red_studios. I have a second channel, and that is Savage Red Studios. You can also support me at my Patreon. If you go down to the link at the bottom, the more Patreon subscribers I get, the more content I'll start putting over there. I started putting content and I only have one person, and I don't know if Nate really wants me to be putting more content over there, really, because it's just him. If you do go to Patreon, you can talk to me directly. I get an instant notification if you email me or message me. And also, if you guys like my work and want to support the channel, you guys can go down to my Cash App or my PayPal, and you can donate. I appreciate your guys' support. If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be able to be here. With all that being said, guys, stay savage.